Well, hello, everybody. Glad to have you here. Hope you all had yourselves a really good weekend and are ready here on this Groundhog Day. Happy Groundhog Day, by the way. And Puxani Phil has prognosticated his way into understanding our future and has gone back into his hole, seeing a shadow, and therefore 6 weeks more of
Winter
winter
shall not cease,
are upon
unfortunately,
us.
everybody.
Well, yeah.
There is
I
no
don't
end in
think we
sight.
needed a groundhog to tell us that this year. But
Not
nevertheless, that's an
Mhm,
old tradition. I have no idea how old it is. It's been going on my entire life, though.
mhm.
And as I was telling Thunder here, this is why black people laugh at us. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes,
It is. Our
it is.
culture what's funny is when you have people say we have no culture. No, we do.
Well, we
It's
got
just
culture.
weird.
We got all kind of
It's just
culture.
weird.
It's just
Yeah,
lame. It's really mainly
yeah.
lame.
It's boring,
Yeah.
boring stuff.
But that's definitely a
But we
white
also
people thing.
then have heavy metal.
That's true. That's
So,
true.
we balance it. We balance it. We
And
balance it.
country and all the other things
And
that they
shooting. We like
make.
guns.
We like that.
We like
Yeah.
to shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Peanut
You
butter
know the music
jelly.
that all other music is based on?
Yeah.
That's white people. We
Yeah.
did that one.
Well,
That was us.
technically, when they go on about that whole culture thing, it's like everything you have is my culture.
Yeah,
Give me back my jeans and my
yep.
button up shirts
Dreads.
and dreads and
Yeah,
sunglasses, please.
yeah,
And my language. Yeah, you're speaking my language.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. Mhm,
but the whole
mhm.
appropriation thing is pretty silly,
It's
especially from the
stupid
point of view of an anthropologist like myself, and knowing that humans share everything forever.
all the time. Yeah,
Forever,
always.
yeah,
It's never
we are.
stopped, and it will never stop.
No, we are literally an amalgamation of of each other.
Yes,
But
of our ancestors, our genetics,
yeah,
everything.
everything, yeah, our food. I mean,
Yeah.
shit. Pretty much all our food either comes from Turkey or the
Mhm,
Americas, right? Pretty much
mhm.
everything we have. So, whatever. Stupid people abound. But
It is.
nevertheless, things are starting to get ruffled, I would say.
Ruffling them,
Yeah,
get a little frazzled, a little frazzle dazzle.
a little bit.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's good though. The world needed it. It was in it. We've been in a malaise,
we
Justin.
have.
We've been in this
We have.
malaise
I
for a few
agree. That's a
years.
choice word for the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
and
is.
it's being shook off now. He's
It
shaking
is.
something, and
It
he's just
is.
shaking things. Whether you like it or not, he's gonna shake it. He's gonna rattle that cage, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So far, it's all working out, in my opinion, to America's benefit, but we'll see if that continues.
Well,
We
I
do have
mean,
the strong hand right now. We have the
we do.
strong hand.
He is making a calculated gamble. I mean,
Mhm,
he is.
mhm.
But I think it's like it's so hard in our favor. I don't know that it's that much of a gamble, and I think he understands that. With the trade war thing, he's been doing a lot of things to kind of show for Europe, and you notice he's not hitting them yet. He's waiting, pulling the
Yeah,
troops out, letting the Putin thing, chill quietly. Banging on Canada, Mexico, and China first. But the thing with that is that you know, there's zero chance that any of those countries can sustain a trade war with America. They can't,
right,
right? If
right,
it was a few years ago with China, maybe, but not at this current China, right? But Canada and Mexico have zero chance of surviving that.
right.
But so it really is a matter of attrition. And of course, old Justin getting up there crying about we've been friends forever. We fought wars together. We lost 147 people in war. Fuck
Yeah,
you, dude. Is it
nobody cares.
15 minutes yet? I don't give a shit. Are you
Snow
kidding
Mexican.
me? We've lost thousands of people in war. You got to talk about your 147 dead?
Yeah,
Talk
yeah,
about not
Snow
reading the
Mexican.
room. But whatever. I think, the only gambling in this is, you know, does Trump, and I don't think it'll last that long, but does Trump have
Mm,
6 months to a year of patience from the Americans? That's really what it comes down to,
I think
right?
so.
I think he
Um,
does. I feel so too,
I
but
think
that's the question.
the American people have shown how unbelievably patient they can be. COVID was a test of our patience at an
It's
unbelievable
true.
level. It was shocking how patient the Americans were with some of the nonsense that was going on here. Um, and it was actually very disheartening because I wanted them to get rowdy a little bit. Not go crazy, but a little bit. And nope, and they didn't. Most of us didn't seem to want to. I said, all right. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. So I think that he was elected by the popular, literally by popular demand,
Yeah.
to do this job exactly. He did not hide what he was going to do.
Nope.
He said what he was going to
Yep.
do, and so far, he's done all of it that I can
No. Yeah.
think of. I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, there might be a few things here or there, but he's pretty much been on task
hundred
from
percent,
Jump Street.
100%.
Yeah.
And yeah, he hadn't done anything he said he wouldn't. He told us he was going to tariff them. He's been warning them for months. Now that warning, because he knows right well these idiots aren't going to do what they should do. But that warning he's been giving for months with the tariffs is really for American companies to stockpile, and they have.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, and, you know, so that was a subtle cue, but I'm sure assuming that things are going on behind the scenes. Now, keep in mind, this guy who doesn't sleep and travels all over the world, literally in the same day, crossing the country twice, going to Saudi Arabia, and then going over to this country and that country, and then doing a rally back in Washington at 9 o'clock at night. That guy, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the other things he's doing that the press, of course, isn't covering, and he's not really talking about so much. He's been meeting with a lot of leaders of industry, having little conferences with them all across America. Matter of fact,
Mm,
today, I think he met with the Brewers of America, Brewers Association of America.
right.
He's been doing that every day, by the way, pretty
Yes.
much. I think the
Yep.
one where he jumped over down to North Carolina and California, he didn't do it that day.
Mm,
But in a way, he kind of did. But he's going around and telling these guys, "Yeah, I'm opening the door. So you
right.
get on your shit, is what's
Get
happening.
ready.
And I love
Get
how
ready to run.
get ready.
Get
Well,
ready to
I
run.
love how CNN the other day they were screaming about tariffs and how it's going to
Right.
raise up our prices. And they had this little, I don't know if she was Mexican or not, but she definitely had a little Latina in her. And she was like,
Right.
"Our avocados and tequila prices are gonna go up." And I was like, "So I'll have apples and bourbon, thank you."
It's better anyway.
Yeah,
Um, and much smoother to drink because tequila is acid.
it can
Uh,
be. Yeah.
yeah, especially bad tequila. But bourbon,
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, that's what's going on. The
yeah,
gamble really is, can he get 6 months to a year of patience from the American people? But I don't think it's going to last that long.
I don't either.
Yeah,
They'll
and
bend the knee. They don't have a
yeah,
choice right now. Nobody has a
they
choice.
they
America
don't.
is in the strongest position globally compared to
Yeah,
especially all the normal countries that it's been in a very very long time because the
yeah,
rest of them did everything that America did during COVID or very close, and they didn't have the ability to bounce back like
they
America
don't
does.
have
The
the
one thing America,
financial wherewithal. Yeah, that's
yes, the
true.
one thing
That's
America has
true.
always had and will have hopefully forever is resiliency.
Yeah,
We bounce back
financial,
real
economic
fast,
resiliency. Well,
real fast.
the funny thing is, it's kind of how we got in this problem.
Hmm.
Because several times we've rebuilt the planet not only directly but
Yeah.
economically. We keep saying, "Hey, our economy is so strong, we'll take you on our back," and we've done that several times, right?
Hmm.
This is
Hmm.
it's not everyone talks about the World War II, and that was, extreme, but there was also the crash.
Right.
Of course, we did that, and you also had the World War I situation.
Hmm.
Right? Now
Which
we
was
didn't fight a
devastating.
lot in that. We love to say we've won that war. America didn't do much in
No,
that war.
no.
But what we do
We
did do
showed
is
up at the
rebuild
end.
frickin' Europe. Yeah,
We showed up at the end.
we did. But you know what I mean. That was,
Yes.
we weren't that much involved in that. We
No.
were much more involved in World War II, but
Mhm.
at the late stage. But that's not my point. So we keep relying, letting the world rely on our economy, and our economy is such that we can drag the world out from the sewer over and over again. The
Yeah.
problem is they've gotten used to it, and they
Yes.
get there, and you get like even Polyev getting up saying there's no reason whatsoever for this. Well, dude, you have a
Calm down.
$280 billion deficit with America. I mean,
There's a
trade
reason.
deficit. That's not
Not
a
to
reason.
mention that just recently coming across the Canadian border, uh, our government agents captured what was it, 10 million? What was it, $10 million worth? I think of fentanyl,
Yeah, yeah,
and people are like, well, that's
that
not
was a
that
big
much.
one.
That's enough to kill like 1 million people
Well,
right there.
actually, I thought it was enough to kill everyone on the planet 10 times over.
Well, no, that one they got out of Mexico, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure.
I
This
see.
was this was the Canadian border. Because what's happening is you see as we tighten up the Mexican border, thankfully, finally, and this has been happening for a while. The Chinese and the other sorts that can come through the top there, they just come through the top because the Canadian border basically doesn't exist. There are
Right.
literal
Right.
places in this country that it's a sign. There's no fence, nothing. It's just one little sign that says Canada, and
Yeah.
you walk over it. Now you're in Canada. That's how
Well,
lax the border is.
and why not? I mean, because Canada
Right.
is, they are nothing without us. We are the
Right.
reason that they don't need a military because we got one. And many
Yep.
things like this reliance on America. And honestly, I don't have a problem with that. But they need to understand that, and of course the arrogance of it. And
Yeah.
to be fair, with the Mexico had no choice. Mexico was going to hammer them no matter what, because
Mhm.
Mexico is run by cartels and being used by China to they produce things in China, they drop them in Mexico, they assemble them at warehouses. Can you hear my air quotes?
A
And
little.
then run them across the border to get tariffs. And you get a lot of these idiots say, "Well, how come there's only 10% on China and 25% on Canada?" That's plus 10%.
That's right.
China is already
That's
tariffed. Um,
Which, by the way, Trump keeps saying he's talking about McKinley and the McKinley era, and McKinleyism
yeah,
is the idea of the tariffs building a big war chest, and that's true. He's completely correct. His analysis of that history. That's 100% what happened. Uh, it's probably one of the reasons, or it's at least on the field, of why the dollar compared to everybody else is so strong, is because Biden, for some reason, didn't get rid of Trump's tariffs on China, and
right.
that
Well,
helped
I
them.
wonder why.
Yeah, because it
Yeah,
works. That's
yeah,
why. It's always worked. It
yeah,
will always work. The reality is, as much as libertarians want to harp on about taxes and things, I get it. I don't disagree with you in principle, but we don't live in a principled world. We live in
yeah,
reality.
yeah,
In reality, you're going to get taxed by somebody, somewhere, somehow. Now, I do agree that Congress needs to alleviate or eliminate the income tax entirely, and then we can have the back to the tariff economy like we should have had, like we should have always had,
yeah.
because that was the constitutional option before they rammed through a ridiculous amendment that nobody actually wanted.
Well, they
So,
wanted a slave labor force back, is what they wanted. Uh,
yes, yes,
but of course, keep in mind, getting rid of the income tax doesn't take away state tax,
no,
right? So it's not like
no.
you're going to have no
Well,
taxes.
it depends how you do it. If the amendment was that income is not allowed to be taxed in the United States at all, then it would.
I
That would
don't
get
think
rid
he
of
would
it.
do that. I think I
But that's
really,
probably not what's going to happen. It
yeah,
would just be
yeah.
a cessation of the collection of the income
I
tax by law.
I think what he wants to do is because one thing Trump's always done, and it's quite interesting, he's very much a constitutionalist.
A bit.
And that's interesting angle to take. But he really thinks the federal government should be very small, doing minimal things, let the states do their business. Traditional conservatism,
Yes,
right? And I don't disagree.
I don't either.
Yeah,
Um, I think we should repeal pretty much the last century of
yeah,
amendments on
and
the
he
docket. Just
is,
get rid of them.
he is,
He is,
he's
but there's still law effectively. We need Congress to actually do its job for just one time, maybe just give it like 3 months. Do your job. Can you try that? 3 months is all we ask, and then you can go back to being worthless pieces of crap who do cocaine in the congressional halls all you want. I don't care. Have
yeah,
fun. But
yeah,
3 months, put together some things to repeal some of these amendments, especially the 16th and the 17th. Those got to go, and let's get back to America doing business
yeah,
again and
yeah,
not being a
right.
slave mass open air slave plantation. Because income tax, and we can call it all kinds of nice things, it's no different than indentured servitude.
Yeah,
That
no,
is
it's not.
slavery.
It is. But
Yeah,
I do love the fact that it's quite obvious that all his appointees sat in a room and he said, "You're free to do as you like,"
yeah. Yep. As
because
long
they're
as you
coming
don't
out
get in my way.
swinging. Did you see Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby don't care.
Bobby was swinging.
I
Did he
I've
was
been
he was
telling
pointing them
people.
out. You got this money over here. You supported this. You owe that money. Where'd you get that money? I love Bernie Sanders.
Mhm.
I only made $5 million off of that. Fucking Bernie. I mean,
Oh,
Bobby. Tulsi, too. She was swinging. But that Cash Patel dude, who's going in to
he's
shut
amazing.
down the FBI, I think mainly, um,
Good.
that dude was
Put him down.
swinging too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they got no shits to give, man. Those
See, what
guys.
happened the first time with Trump is he tried to surround himself with people that he thought the system would like.
Yeah, yeah, that was a mistake. Yeah,
And that was a mistake. He should have surrounded himself with belligerents, which is what he's done this time. people who absolutely despise the system, for some of them for very different reasons than him, but they absolutely despise the system
Yeah,
itself. And that's
they
why
do.
you can pull in former Democrats, lifelong Democrats. You can pull in a literal Kennedy who's
Yeah,
Democrat royalty. And you can do all of these things because they all share one common denominator, and that the system is fucked and somebody's got to fix it. Period. Or the country's just going to collapse.
yeah,
That's your options because we can't
no,
keep going this way. And
no,
everybody knows it. That's why everybody voted for Trump because they know it. They're like, listen,
yeah,
we might not like this guy that much, even though he is kind of hilarious. We might not like this guy that much, but somebody's got to try something. We got to do something here because it's
yeah.
bad,
Oh, the black
and
dudes
that's
love
what we're
him.
getting. Oh, because
The
he's.
black
I
dudes
mean,
love him because he's
look at him.
boss. He's
Yeah,
gangster as hell. Yeah,
he is. Yeah,
yeah.
he is. He is. He's got himself a beautiful white woman. He has a gold toilet. What more do you want?
That's right.
What more do you
That's
want?
right. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's funny. There was one guy, beard guy, I can't remember his name for something, and he actually
Mhm.
just got up and called them all a bunch of sexual deviants.
Yeah.
I mean, geez. I mean, all right,
Well, they are.
they are, but I
So,
mean, it's
do you remember Madison? I think it's Madison Cawthorn. I think is what his name was. He was a representative from somewhere in the South. He was the kid in the wheelchair. He's
oh
young,
right,
like in early 20s or whatever, and he just came out and said all they do is have drunken sex orgies all the time with drugs and everything. All the time is what he said. That's what Congress does all the time, and they basically blackballed him out of Congress for it. But yeah, yeah, that's what they are. They're all just a bunch of sexual deviants.
yeah,
It's disgusting because for one, I see no reason why Congress needs to be in session as much as it is. The only reason they are is because they never do their damn job. That's why.
yeah. They
The
just
only
want
thing they
the
could ever pass is
free
more
shit.
things to screw the American people. That's it.
Yeah.
It's never
Well,
anything that anybody actually wants. When was the last time they passed a bill? I guess the Lake and Riley thing, but that was because they didn't have a choice. They knew Trump was coming for that ass if they didn't pass that.
yeah,
So everything else, though, it's very rare. You get one or two good pieces of legislation that most normal people are like, that's a good idea. For 50 or 55, just nonsense, just pure
yeah, yeah.
nonsense nobody
Well,
wants.
the the thing is, when they're in Washington, they don't have to pay for anything.
That's what I'm saying. It's a racket.
It
It's the
is
best
ragged.
job in the
It's a
world.
scam. Yeah.
Best job
Um,
in the world.
I did love the Angel Moms, which, if you don't know who the Angel Moms, they are they're all the women who've had daughters that have been raped or murdered by immigrants, and there's a lot of them. It's shocking how many there are actually.
Too many.
It's
Far too
it
many.
well, one's too many, but
Yes.
anyway, they got in Selena Gomez's ass, dude. I mean, they were pissed, and of course,
One thing
virtue
I've noticed,
signaling is dangerous, young lady.
it is. It is, especially in the modern era. One thing I've noticed is it seems like the what's the word I'm looking for? The virtue signaling tiers, we've
Yeah,
all we're done as
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
society. A few years ago, that would have got people upset. They're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, poor Selena, look how this is so." Now
Yeah.
most people just laughed at her now.
Well,
Look at her,
sure.
what
I
an idiot,
mean,
what
she
an idiot.
turned the camera on crying. I mean,
Yes.
it's like that dumb nurse. I'll never forget that stupid ass nurse during COVID. Turns on
Yes.
the camera, leaning up against and edit it, by the way,
Yeah.
leaning up against the wall, hands on head, so sad, script, sad music, script across the screen. Just lost another patient. It's too much. And it's like, you fucker. You
That had to take
fucker.
you at least 15 minutes to get set up or more. You're
Right.
not that devastated.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just so disingenuous. But yeah, they got in their
ah,
ass, and so should they, because
yeah.
Trump is playing this the right way. He wants them all out, but you
Yep.
go after the criminal ones first, because honestly,
Yeah.
if you scream about it, well, you're defending murder and rapists, dude. And of
Which they
course,
are.
the idiots are.
Yeah.
And he knows it, and and of course sometimes when they go and pick up these murderers and these criminals, they find other illegals there and they grab them as well, and of course that's all
Mhm.
the media focuses on. And I do love this guy, what's his name, Holman.
Homan,
Hmm.
the border czar.
I love his
I don't know
response.
when we started calling everything czars though. I don't know if I like that.
Well,
But
it's just
other than
coming
that,
out of
yeah.
Kaiser, Caesar, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the same meaning. And of course, if you want to go with the original Latin, we say Caesar in English, but it would have been Kaiser. That would have
Yeah.
been the
Which
Latin
sounds
pronunciation. Yeah.
much cooler. Kaiser.
It does,
Kaiser.
Kaiser,
Yeah.
Kaiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, uh, but um, but that guy, they're like, yeah, you gotta take it. What crimes have they done? They came into America illegally.
Yeah, they broke federal law when they walked across the border. That's the
But
crime they
that's
did.
not right. Kick rocks.
No,
This
and
oh my
look,
guy's great.
most people have sympathy for some of these people, sure, and probably most of them aren't trying to hurt anybody or whatever. They just want
They
out of their
no,
shit
I
their
have
country's
zero. Go
doing.
through the fucking system. It's the
But that's what I
easiest
was
in the
going to
world.
say. You are an immigrant. You immigrated to a country that isn't very easy to immigrate to, compared to America anyway, because no
Oh, I
country is.
immigrated to the worst one. The
I
worst
think
one.
it probably is, yeah.
Yeah.
And um, my point is, as much sympathy as I have for their situation, it's not my fault. It's not the American people's fault. We didn't ask for this. We didn't plan for it. We didn't make it happen. It is not of our doing. We have been trying to get you people out of the mud that most of you live in for a very, very, very since basically ever. We've been trying to. We are the most charitable nation on the earth. It's not even close. It's not even debatable. And I know for a fact that there are millions of Americans who have gone to these places and done all sorts of charity work and missionary work and all these things to try and help these people and help them out. And for whatever reason, a lot of it's not even their fault. They
Yeah.
just can't get on their feet. And it's mostly just government corruption down there, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the individual people. And if these people cared as not enough or as much about staying here as they did as fixing there, they would have fixed it by now. And we know that
Yeah.
because look at El Salvador. He's
Yeah.
fixing it.
Yeah.
Look at Argentina. He's fixing it
Yeah.
because he cares about
Yeah.
these places. It
Yeah.
can be fixed. There's
He,
nothing about these people that makes them impossible to live in civilization. They can do it.
well,
They're just choosing not to.
they're not very smart. But anyway,
Yes.
but yeah, no, they should go deal with their own shit. But I mean,
Yes.
as far as me go, I go as far as immigrating to Japan. Normally, if you're married to a citizen, it's kind of the end of the conversation, right?
Right.
Pretty much every country on this planet. Japan, not really. You know what got me over initially?
Hmm.
And let me get
Recall.
into the fact where I could actually get a permanent visa instead of having to go down every year and fill out paperwork and pay money um, is because I'm a white American who went to
Yeah.
college. But here, this is the thing. They were very impressed that I went to Brown.
Ah.
That
Oh,
was a
that's a nice
big thing
school.
for them. They
Used
liked
to be.
that. Yeah.
Used to be a really nice school.
Yeah.
I don't know
Don't
about
tell
now,
them.
but it used
Shh.
to be. No, that's cool. But no, I
Yeah.
like most people. I personally want an immigration moratorium into America for a while. I don't know how long, 5, 10 years, so we can figure out who's here, who should be here, who shouldn't be here. 4 years is definitely not enough to do it, which Trump is trying. It's not enough time. It's been such a mess for 70 years. We can't fix it in 4. Like it just can't be done. So we've done this before, by the way. America's done this many times. We've shut immigration off, basically just turn the spigot off, say no more, except for a few exceptional exceptions, right? Um, and there's nothing wrong with that. Every country in
Yeah.
the world's done
Didn't
it at various
didn't he put a
points.
moratorium? Didn't he put a moratorium on?
He did a little bit, but it's not going to be long enough.
Oh,
Is
I
my
see.
point.
No,
It,
he
it,
should
it
just shut
needs to
it
be,
down
yeah,
for a little bit. I mean, it's
yeah. We
okay.
got to
We do
sort it
it.
out.
We do it every now and then.
And it was actually
And
around the 1920s, or 19. Yeah, that the last time we did a full moratorium. So about
I
100
thought
years ago.
Eisenhower did it too.
He might have. He might have. I might be
Thought there
misremembering,
was
but it
somewhere
was.
there
But
after the war.
regardless, it was a long time
Yeah,
ago.
it's been a
Like that was a
while.
long time ago.
But Dave, no, I agree. Border Burger Miser is the way to go.
Bordermeister.
Yeah, it's the way to go. Yeah. It
Um,
definitely, without
but yeah,
question.
no, I just think we need to figure out what's up. We need to get an immigration system in place that anybody can make sense of, that isn't just so scattershot and changes every 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
and one that that is to the standard of the rest of the world. There's no reason ours should be so lax. This is the country most people want to come to
Right.
if you're especially if they're in a lower level country economically. They want to get out of here or go to Europe, of course.
Mhm.
Get out of there, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't blame them for wanting, especially if they're a high. They want to achieve things. I don't blame them at all. But that doesn't mean
Yeah.
we have to take them. They're
No.
not our
Um.
responsibility.
Yeah, and we could certainly go through that, but America is a place of immigrants. I get it. But I love the fact that with all those bigoted Democrats getting up and complaining, who's got to pick our letters, right? I mean, it's like
um,
that's all they do. They clean
Americans,
your house and pick your letters because that's what they
Americans,
do for you. Now, of course,
younger Americans. college students,
Yeah,
high school students.
yeah.
That's who's gonna do it.
Yeah,
Like
that's
who
who.
used to do it.
The Generation Z, Gen Z. But remember when I said like, yeah, well, when I was in America, most of the Mexicans were in construction. Now,
Yeah.
turns out, I know, shocking, I was right.
Uh-oh. He
Yeah.
was right again, boys.
I am. It is what it is.
Not
But
good.
and Of course, this shock to the system of having all these construction workers go is going to be painful for a little bit. But what it does is it takes all these Gen Zs who do shit. They're lazy ass. They don't do nothing because there's just not a lot of motivation for them to do anything, and there's not a lot of work for them to grab at. Well, now there is. Get at
Yes.
it. Get in the trades, baby. Yeah. Alan says, I would tell them I was a descendant of the famous black samurai Yasuke. I would even hold my sword sideways. You should, because that's how you do that. Yeah. Well, this whole Ubisoft thing has actually caused a little bit of controversy in Japan, oddly enough. I mean, literally inside the government of Japan, because there are conflicting reports. There's one report that, but I guess it's more of a rumor, that Yasuke actually lost his head in a battle, because he only fought one, and the head was picked up by a retainer and returned to the castle where Nobunaga was. But this is not confirmed, and it's also interestingly identical to what happened to Nobunaga himself.
Yep.
The other one, which actually has historical stuff, is Nobunaga got tired of his dumbass and sold him back to the Jesuits. Because keep in mind, Nobunaga bought him as a slave, right?
Right. Yep.
Sold him back to
Pet.
the Jesuits, and he was never heard from again.
Never again. That
So,
was it. That was the end of
and you
Yasuke.
said Jesuits were selling slaves? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Why wouldn't
yeah,
they be? Everybody was.
yeah.
It was.
Like I really don't think you paid much attention in history class.
Yes.
But
But no, it's funny because it's funny because you see the Japanese. Some of them are like, whatever, it's a video game, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are very upset. Like you said, it went all the way up the chain there.
mhm.
And you just keep seeing things like they have a female sumo wrestler, like just
Which
endless
is
levels
you
of
realize
disrespect.
and the thing is they keep doing these kind of things and they're stepping on toes that they don't know they're stepping on. That's the problem,
Yeah, well,
right?
or do they? And they're just doing it because
No,
they don't care.
if you had some female warrior, it would be like, well, that's not normal, but no one would care.
Right.
Sumo is a religious observance.
That's right.
It is a religious observance.
Yes.
Women are not allowed on the dohyo, not dojo, dohyo, right? The
That's right.
ring where they fight. They're not allowed in the dojo either, I think. But they're not
I
allowed
don't
there
believe so.
because they bleed and are considered
Mhm.
unclean.
That is correct.
So
Now,
there
yeah,
would never, ever, 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 say it again
and
with me, ever be a
ever.
female sumo.
And not
Ever.
only that, a few years ago, apparently, I saw somebody retell this story. A few years ago, somebody got hurt at a sumo match,
Hmm.
and they had paramedics come in, and one of them was a woman, and she rushed up there to try and help the guy, and if they freaked out, right?
Yeah,
All
they
the
did.
officials
They
freaked
did.
out. Get out of here! Get out of here! What are you doing? You can't be up
Yeah,
here.
yeah. They
And
threw shit
but
at
my
her.
point is,
Yeah.
yeah, that is my point, though. Like these aren't just okay, we can look at it from the West Bank. That's backwards. Okay, fine, but it's still,
It
how
doesn't
many
matter.
Japanese
It's
people are there? Like
religion.
120 million. To them, it isn't. To them, it's their tradition,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
part of their
Well, that's
religion.
more. It's more religion, and you can't really argue religion. Religion's one of those things.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, Ubisoft's dead, and they're stupid. Dave
they are.
says everywhere around the world they're coming to America song. He should have quit while he was still ahead. Ha 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 ha! I got that was a joke. Yes, it's to entertain the gods. It is.
Yes,
But
and they are entertained. They
Yeah, but
are
I mean,
entertained.
initially, because I was talking to my daughter about it, actually, because she's a nerd. It's interesting. She's the nerd, and my son is the Yahoo.
Yeah.
The bro, right?
Mhm.
Literally the frat boy, my son. And my
That's funny.
daughter's the nerd.
Takes after his daddy.
Yeah, he does. Well, I'm a little of both, right? Um,
Yes.
although I can hide the nerd like 100%.
Oh, so
But
can I. Yeah.
yeah, no, no,
You'd never know
I
if I
would.
didn't tell you.
I'm definitely when
Yeah.
I was young, the frat boy. But she was talking about it, and initially the Japanese were like, "Oh yeah, Yasuke," because they know who he is, right? They've heard him before, and they
Sure.
were like, "That could be fun." They had no problem with the whole thing in the beginning. It was that
Yeah.
it was Ubisoft's disrespect that started pissing them off, and then they started paying attention. Then they
Right.
started nitpicking, and then it just rolled into what it is now. Because
How cool could it have been, Chester, real quick? How cool could it have been if they just told the real story of him, but instead, you know how Assassin's Creed games, it's always a little bit historical fiction,
a
right? They
little bit,
add
yeah,
to it.
yeah, of course, yeah.
And what they did is after he gets taken by the Jesuits, the story takes from there of him trying to escape, and he becomes an assassin to do so.
Now that could have
That
been
could have
neat.
been
That
interesting.
could have been neat.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
could have been cool.
that would have been cool.
But
But
but no,
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 they
no,
didn't.
we
But
don't
there's
get that.
several factors that are applying on here. One, the Assassin's Creed bros, they've been wanting Assassin's Creed in
Oh,
Japan
since day
for
one.
decades,
Day one, we're
right?
like, I wanna
Uh,
be a ninja. This
and
is awesome.
they're
I wanna
not
be a ninja."
getting what they wanted. And
No,
this has nothing to do with pissing the Japanese off. And trust me, they have pissed the Japanese off. The Japanese
yeah,
take a little bit to actually get riled up. You have to understand,
and
right?
then they kamikaze you.
Yeah, and
So,
they're riled. But and of course another problem they have here in Japan, and the Japanese just kind of shrug it off because that's the kind
yeah,
of people they are. But anytime you see a foreign making, which is the reason why that dude went and was so adamant about doing Shogun himself, right?
yes,
Was because
yes.
every time you see anything, it always looks like China.
And he killed it, by the way. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
my wife likes that series. I haven't watched it yet. I
It's real
refuse. Fuck
you'd like it.
Disney.
I
Fuck
think
Disney.
but it's
But
good,
I
Chester.
bet
It's
it
not as
is.
the man. He's the
I
man.
I bet it is, but fuck Disney. But
And you really like the main character. He's awesome.
yeah. But every time you see anything, it's always looks like China. And of
Yeah.
course, this Ubisoft thing is the same. It doesn't look like Japan. It looks like China. The costumes they're wearing, the hairstyles, and of course they have Sakura all the time, even though Sakura only or survived like a week.
Yes.
It,
Yes.
it's in spring.
They're beautiful. They're
They are,
beautiful,
and I
but
get, and
they
that's
don't
not
live.
a no one would care if it weren't for the nitpicking of the controversy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like Japan at all.
It adds up is the point. You know, they messing up the clan banners, using clan banners they didn't have permission to use, using mixing Chinese and Japanese completely, like you were saying. Like there's just so many. The female sumo wrestler is completely inappropriate, and anybody with any sense about the culture and the religion, especially of that period in Japan, would know that. Uh, these things are intent. You can't mess up this much and then just say "oops" at the end of it.
Hmm.
Somebody's making conscious decisions to make Japan look silly.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I have no idea what the end game was when you're trying to sell a game based there and to that country, but somebody's doing this on purpose at some level. There's just
Oh
too
yeah.
many
No.
of them. There's too many of them.
It's called DEI, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
apparently.
Destroy the man. Destroy the male, especially
Yep,
white males. Anything they like, destroy it. Destroy them.
yep.
But yeah, the debacle, and of course, it's the end of Ubisoft because this is not the first mistake they've made.
No, they
EA
the
is
mess.
also in ridiculously bad situation. Um, I wish I
Good.
had the money, dude. If I had the money, I would buy Maxis. I would buy Wizard of the
Oh,
Coast.
bro.
And I'd
Maxis.
pick up some gaming studio. But
Maxis has so many amazing franchises that they just don't do anything with.
they don't. All they do
So
is
many.
just lie on Sims, right? Just the
Yes.
Sims. And it's because sugar daddy EA, and they can't get away with it. What, Dave?
Dave would like to know if you can slap a female sumo wrestler in the tits. Is that permitted in sumo?
Yes,
In real
they
sumo,
really
yes, you can
would.
slap a
Yeah,
man in the tits. It's perfectly
yeah,
fine.
they do. Yeah, no, yeah, no. It's surprising how many foreigners watch sumo.
Oh, I watch it. I
When
love
I
it.
first
It's fun.
married my wife, I tried.
The big problem I have with it is all the ceremony takes too long for
Yeah,
me as a Western brain. So I usually watch. There's a couple YouTube channels that will just it's just the matches, right? They cut out all the ceremony and it's just the matches, and that's great because I actually think I like the sport of it. The sporting of it is really interesting. There's a lot more to it than people think, but and I like the other thing I like about it is it's professional. It's a form of wrestling that is professional that, isn't pro wrestling, isn't a
Oh,
gimmick.
they're very
Uh,
serious about it. Yeah.
they're very, very serious about it, and I've always said that amateur, as we call it in America, wrestling, Greco-Roman style wrestling, there's no reason that couldn't be a pro sport properly. It's just everybody who's tried to do it is an idiot. And
Yeah.
because they're an idiot, they added too many rules or they added too weird of rules that nobody understands. So it
Right.
was very easy. Just put him on his ass or kick him out of the ring. That's it. That's all
Yep.
you got to do.
Yep.
And there's certain other things, traditions and stuff, but there's very few crazy hard rules inside the ring, right? You just
Yeah.
put him on his ass. And
Well,
that's super easy to watch and entertaining. You watch these two big belugas just slamming into each other, trying to throw each other. That's a good time. It's like
yeah.
watching real life kaijus. That's what
Well,
it's like.
when
Real
I
life
first
kaijus.
when I first came here, that's my wife's nickname for me, Kaiju. Um, but
Oh, wait
yeah,
a minute.
yeah. But it's sad world. But anyway, when I first came here, well, two things. Here recently, not too long ago, some years back, there was a sumo who was made it to the level where he was on TV from the town here, right? And every time he won, they would let cannons off, and I was like, wait a minute, where'd you guys get cannons? But anyway, so yeah, but anyway, so we had that. But when I first came here, I made friends with this big old buck Dutch guy that was running
Mm,
a fish farm here in Japan, in Saiki,
nice.
and
Yep.
big old dude, almost as tall as me, but thicker, right?
Yep.
Real, hard living guy. Loved drinking, loved roughhousing. Fun guy. I
Hmm.
liked him. His name was Eric. He was a good guy.
Hmm.
And but he wanted to do the sumo, and for
Oh
me, I
boy.
did a little bit of the rugby stuff for fun. But
Right.
they're too squishy, so I stopped. I'm too old to be messing around with that shit anymore.
Hmm.
But anyway, he wanted to do the sumo thing, so I went and watched him do a few things. A friend, just go support him, right? And of course
Yep.
he dominated the local ones because he's just too big and strong. But
Right.
they actually had one day where there was the actual big boy sumos were down there,
Hmm.
and he and I are sitting there, and they actually came over and they bowed and they shook our hands and stuff. It was neat, dude. I am so much bigger than they are.
Think you could out wrestle them in a sumo wrestle?
Maybe
Get in there.
no,
Get in there.
no. Well,
Yeah,
they got
they're
all
pretty
the
good.
technique, dude. They know what they're doing.
Right. Right.
Um.
That's what I'm saying. Is people underestimate how much technique there is in it.
Oh
It's
yeah, no, no,
actually
no.
impressive.
I don't think so. No, I never
Yeah.
done sumo. What would I know? They would
Yeah.
win for sure.
They'd
And
lock
now,
your arm and throw you. That's what they do. That's what
yeah,
they get you.
something. I mean,
That's
they
what they
know
do
what
to
they're
amateurs.
doing. I don't. That's.
Yeah.
I'm not assuming that they're professionals. Now I know there's a couple of yokozunas at that time that were the Hawaiian guys that were like my size or bigger, right?
Yes. Yes. Big boys. Big old boys. Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like but they were very polite. They're very friendly. They were very nice. But no, I never looked at it like, oh, I kicked those guys' ass. Why? What's the point?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, uh, what's his name? Alan over here said UFC's kind of got that covered. I'm assuming he means about the professional wrestling, like an actual professional, real wrestling, professional wrestling.
Yeah, they do the
Not really though,
Brazilian.
because here's the reason why. You can just lay on somebody forever, and that's boring as hell. That's not how any other wrestling
Yeah,
works. Even sumo.
boxing is
Sumo,
way
you're
better.
down, you're down. If you're doing any other kind of like sambo or whatever, throws matter and stuff, and you have to reset. I think I've said this for years, MMA, someone needs to innovate and add a pin. If you pin a guy, the round ends. You win the round. Done.
Right, of course. Yeah.
It would immediately make it so you can't just have guys laying on top of each other for 5 minutes in a round.
Yeah,
Like, what are
no,
we doing?
I tried to watch, and of course, but when it first came out, you had like Tank Abbott and stuff, and he was
Yeah.
fun, and
Yeah.
Kimbo Slice, these kind of
Oh,
street
Kimbo.
fighters, right? They're
Yeah.
entertaining though, kind
Yeah.
of like Mr. T. And keep in
Right.
mind, he's out of the strongman competition like Butterbean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
those guys are not professional. Although Butterbean, over his career, he got slick though. He did get slick.
Mm.
But
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Those guys are just kind of street worthy fighters and they're more entertaining. But in general, especially as UFC kind of leveled itself up, it became more boring. I would
Yeah.
much rather watch a boxing match, dude.
Well, the reason is because wrestling is a superior martial art one on one. It
Oh,
just
well,
is.
it's
If you
more it's real fighting. I mean, if you
Yeah,
get in a fight, you're not going to literally box someone if they know what
most
they're
likely,
doing.
yeah.
If you have two people who
They're
know
gonna
what they're
rush you.
doing, it's not going to be like that,
Right.
right?
They're gonna rush you and try to
Yeah,
get in
yeah, yeah,
close.
yeah. Now, if you're a
Um,
boxer and you're fighting an idiot doesn't know nothing, oh, okay, fine. You know.
it'd be easy, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's the problem. That's the main problem a lot of people have with it. I have with it. I don't mind it. I'll watch it, especially if it's somebody I'm interested in. But the most entertaining fights are almost always the ones where the guys just say, "Screw it, let's just throw," and they just throw at each other.
sure. Yeah,
It's
sure.
very rarely the ones where they just tackle each other and then look like they're having some kind of gay sex on top of each other for 15 minutes or whatever it is. And I think the remedy to that is what I just said: add a pin. If the guy's
Right.
shoulders are flat and he can't get up, done, round over. Let's go. Get up and let's start again. There's no reason we should subject people to watching these guys just rub on each other like I don't know, like they're dry humping. I don't know what are
Yeah.
we doing here? What am I
Well,
watching? This
you
is this is weird.
yeah, and it's to each his own. People love MMA. Cool. All right.
Yeah,
I'm just more of a boxing guy.
I
But
just wish someone would innovate. Add a pin. I think it
right.
would be amazing.
Well, you
I think
need
it
if
would
you
be
want to
amazing.
keep going, you need to. Uh, but
Yep.
uh, but as far as real fights go, because I was bouncer 12 years, right?
Yep.
And I've only been in a couple situations where there was someone who was really actually capable.
Yep. Knew how to
Because
fight.
in general, people who are well trained tend not to get in fights.
Correct.
Odd that, isn't it?
They avoid it.
They
Rule
avoid
one,
it.
avoid it.
Yeah,
Avoid,
avoid it.
avoid, avoid.
But
Yep.
most of the time, um, the people are just really slow, especially if
Yes.
they're drinking a bit.
And they
Um,
think they're fast,
then
but they're
they
not.
think they're fast. And of course, I'm
Yeah.
not looking to punch you in the face. I want your finger. I'm gonna get it.
Right.
I'm
Yep.
gonna get it,
Break
and you're gonna
something
be
real quick.
unhappy about it, right? Because
Yeah.
my whole technique that I was trained was pain tolerance, right?
Yep. Yep.
Or
That's how I fight
intolerance.
too. That's how
Uh,
I've always fought.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't care. I want you to remember tomorrow. I don't want to fight you, but if you
yeah,
push
yeah,
me to the
yeah,
point where I will, I'm gonna find something and break it.
yeah.
So you
But
remember it.
occasionally you would get someone who was just too fast, and
Yes.
in that situation, you just take the hit and get the arm, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
it is what it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, real fighting and professional fighting are not the same.
No. No. A street fight is much different. Now
Yeah,
that
yeah.
being said, those professional fighters are badasses, and
Oh yeah,
most
yeah.
people would get their
Don't
ass
fuck with
absolutely
them.
washed by
Don't
by
mess with a
one of these
person, a
guys.
trained person.
Yes, no, 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 don't do it. I mean,
No.
compared to like like we're talking about uh samurai. Compared to samurai, especially olden days, they would get destroyed. The samurai would destroy them in a fight because that was their whole life.
Oh
But
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
pros
No, no.
today are still amazing. They're
So
still fantastic fighters.
the samurai of old were, because keep in mind, I still don't understand why this is, because
Mm,
China had good steel. The Indians were making the best swords ever made in history, right?
yeah,
At that
yeah.
same time, the Europeans were killing it, right?
They were
The
cheating.
Middle
Yeah,
Easterners. But here in Japan, they had shit steel. And
yep.
to deal with the
Brittle.
shit steel, they ended up putting layers on, and that's where you get the katana from, or the nihonto is
Hmm.
what they would call it here.
Right.
And it wasn't a good weapon. It was basically just an iron bar. People go on about how badass the katana was. The katana is
Hmm.
not badass at all, dude. What was
Hmm.
badass was the samurai. They were trained from freaking childhood.
Yes.
That's what was badass. They took this thing had inequity, and they found a way to
Hmm.
make it a positive. That's the genius
Right.
of the Japanese in everything they do, right?
And it wasn't like the main weapon either. It just
No,
wasn't. It was a
the
sidearm.
spear was the main weapon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the spear has pretty much always been the main weapon, except for a few instances in history where people focus more on like swords or whatever. But for the most part, the spear is the best weapon hand-to-hand weapon we've ever created for no other reason than the reach. That's really it, is
Right.
the length.
No, no, and most of the time, because the daisho, which is the nihonto, the wakizashi, and maybe even a tanto together on the
Yes.
inside the obi, what that
Mhm.
is doing is it's like a badge, right?
Right. Right.
And of course, when they're using them against the population who have no combat experience at all, well, it's anything's a superior weapon. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, but the samurai were. were ridiculous. They really,
They were
really, really,
badass.
really good.
Yeah.
And by the way, to help you guys out, how to say it correctly, if you want
Mhm.
to, you don't have to. Just say samurai. It's fine.
Mhm.
But
Samurais.
yeah, you whatever you like. But the actual way to say it is each consonant and vowel is connected in Japanese in what they call emoji. So it's sa,
Mhm.
mu, right? So you're going to pronounce them together. You're not going to blend them. Sa, mu, right? And then
Mhm.
your what we would say rai, actually would it rai, ra, I, but it's not ra. They don't have R in their language and they don't have L. So what you do is you say L, but you think R.
Yeah.
That's how you make that sound. So it's actually a samu la 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 la.
Mhm.
It's an L. It's not an R.
Mhm.
If anyone gives a shit,
Doesn't it mean what does it mean? Does it mean like servant or something?
it does.
It has a name.
It means
Yes,
servant. Yeah,
servant.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Um, yeah, that's it's just one of those things. It's like, we have a lot of stuff nowadays where there's this lore, this mythology around katanas, and like you said, it's they're really not that good of a weapon.
No.
There are far better swords that would just
Hmm.
literally destroy a
Yeah,
katana if they clashed. They would just shatter it,
yeah,
break it. See ya. And all over the world from all
yeah.
different cultures. So yeah, it's not that great of a weapon. Plus, their
No.
armor was, except for some of
They're
them, like late period especially, most of their armor was crap. It
yeah,
was just
no, their
wasn't very
armor's
good.
shit. It's
Yeah,
laminated. It's not. It's absolute crap. I mean, you got to keep in mind the Japanese had certain refinements, but they were pretty primitive from our point of view.
yeah. By the time the
Historically,
Europeans got there.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
not now, but
No, no, no.
during this fantasy era that we love, they
Yeah.
were pretty primitive, and of course they were.
Do the Japanese love it? Are they as attached to it as as Westerners seem to be? The
Not
feudal
really.
Japan era.
Not really. No,
I
it
didn't think
depends
so.
on it. They love their anime, or if it
Yeah,
has it in it, but they love more modern stuff. Of course, there's some certain love for it. Of course, I mean, we love our cowboy movies, right?
we do, we
Um,
do. But I
uh,
think everybody loves cowboy movies. I'll be
yeah,
honest.
but
They're
most
pretty great.
people don't dress up like a cowboy.
They do in Japan. That's a whole
They
subculture,
do.
apparently.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
it, and it's
it's hilarious.
hilarious. I was like,
I love it.
"Oh, you're
I
so
love it.
cute."
I love it. I think country and western style, the culture of it is unique and interesting.
Mhm.
And it's not just American. Mexico has it too, a very similar version of it. You could even say they may have started it, depending on how you want to look at it. But regardless, it's a very interesting subculture, and I'm glad that it's spreading across the world because
Yeah, no,
it's neat. It's
there
fun.
is, and mainly what they love with it, because the Japanese are not dancing people.
Mm,
They do have during the Obon, which is basically our traditional Samhain, right?
yeah,
Halloween. We don't really celebrate traditionally anymore, but they do. And of course, you ask, well, how does Japan and the Aryans have or even the Celts have a similar holiday? Well, we don't have time for that. Uh,
there's a
but uh,
lot of reasons why.
but they will do like like we used to do in Samhain. We would dance in a
Yeah.
circle, right? They do
Mhm.
that, but they're not really dancing people. So I think the cowboy thing mainly it's the line dancing is
Yeah,
really
it's
the
very simple, easy, anybody can do it
it
type
is.
dance.
White
Yeah,
people can do it.
that's right. We have
Yeah,
no rhythm and we can do it, which
yeah,
is weird because we created rhythm. That was us.
yeah.
We
Isn't that
defined
weird?
it. We processed it. We systemized it, and for some reason, we just lost it. We're just like, nah,
Yeah, that's
we don't
right.
do
Yeah.
it.
Well, because we're too self conscious is the problem.
Yes, that's true. Conscientious.
Which is why we sat back for years and let this shit go on instead of stepping up and smacking in the head like some of the more aggressive cultures on the planet. You think this woke shit, this DEI shit, would could have taken place in the Middle East? Huh.
Well, they tried, if you remember. The Obama administration tried real hard to push it in Afghanistan, and well,
Well, there
at
must
least
have
how
been a
that
lot of
turned out.
dead people, I would assume.
Seeing how well there was in Afghanistan, see how that turned out. Afghanistan's worse probably than it's ever been on that front. So good job,
Yeah, yeah,
good work. It's the problem of this. It's a liberal thinking, and it's very weird. I don't understand it, why they cannot just accept that people are different and cultures are different and
Yeah,
places are different.
yeah,
And no matter how hard you try to inject what you consider to be good values, if the people have not evolved to that place, they
yeah.
evolved differently. It's not gonna take.
No, of
And it
course
hasn't.
not. No,
Yeah.
of course not.
It's
I mean,
basically just colonialism, but we're not calling it that. But that's what it
that's
is.
what it
It's the
is.
same
Yeah,
thing.
we should start calling these lefties colonialists. I think that would
That's what
be a
they're
good
doing.
idea. But
Colonizing shit.
yeah, but the one that took the cake. Of course, there's so many things like every day or every week as a new thing was racist would come out, right? Babies and
Yeah.
everything is racist.
Yeah.
But the one that shows you the best is the simple fact that they were saying that if a man doesn't want to date a transgender man, he is
Mhm.
a bigot, Nazi, homophobe. And
Yes.
that right there is a perfect example because it's like, well, I don't, me personally, right? Me, I
Mhm.
don't
Mhm.
care what a gay does. Go do your gay stuff. Leave me out of
Correct.
it. I don't care.
Correct.
I'm not going to get mad at you. You do what you
Party
want
on.
to do. I don't want to watch it, but you
Party
do
on,
your
guy.
thing. I mean, right? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But yet, if you're saying that if I don't want to have relations with a man who's cosplaying as a woman, I am somehow a evil Nazi person. Well,
Yeah.
does the
You want to
fact
kill
that
all the
I'm
Jews,
not gay
basically.
not come into play here?
No, no. Mm-mm.
I thought you
No.
were born that way.
No, no. You have to either accept the penis or
Mhm.
you want to kill Jews. There's
That's
no
right.
middle ground, apparently.
Which is
That's
weird
it.
because they're the ones that want to kill the Jews. Isn't that interesting?
Well, listen,
Yeah.
listen,
Dude,
listen.
I'm
We
still
don't,
shocked at the amount of anti-Semitism came out from October 7th.
I'm not. I'm not at
Dude,
all.
it's rampant. I didn't know that
Yeah.
there were that many people that hated on the Jews. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time.
I mean,
It's a pretty much a tradition at this point.
it seems so. I mean, I go in the tradition of Mel Brooks and make jokes about the Jews because it's
Yes.
funny.
Yes.
But
Because there are funny people who do
yeah, they
ridiculous
are funny
things.
people. But it's like,
Yeah.
why would I care about the Jew? I mean,
No.
honestly.
It's
But
it's silly.
geez, dude.
It's silly.
But I
We
mean,
need it. One of the things that society has lost is Mel Brooks. You brought it's the perfect
oh,
example.
Mel's great. Yeah,
Be- Because he was able to make fun of things and make them silly, which is most of what his comedy is. It's just silly.
it's silly. Yeah, he's
And
very silly.
because of that, it alleviates tension and it stops things from getting to a point where it becomes hateful or divisive. Laughter has existed since humans have
Yeah.
existed, as far as we know, maybe before, and it's very important part of our psyche. We've got all kinds of data on how laughter literally is the best medicine.
Oh yeah, it's
It
good for
it
you.
yeah, it's
It's
very good for you.
psychosomatic, baby.
It cures your ailments
Yeah.
if you're happy, if you're
Yeah.
laughing. Literally, your body
Yeah.
will start to heal faster than it did would if you were depressed.
Right.
So you can use laughter very, very effectively. People have been doing it. We call them, jesters, comedians nowadays. They've been doing it since forever. They
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
affect change and affect society in a peaceful manner just by telling jokes. And what we've lost is a guy like Mel Brooks, very Jewish man, extremely Jewish man, who would be fine and always did make fun of Jewish people because they're funny. They have funny traditions that
They
are to the
are. Their
outsiders
language
look weird.
itself is comedic.
Yes, it has
Yeah.
a very comedic ring to it,
It does.
especially to a
Well,
Western ear.
just the way it's built. Yeah, there's a lot of metaphor in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um.
I think that's what we have to get back. We need
Sure.
to stop being so damn serious. That's the
Yeah. No,
problem.
that's the
It's not even
problem.
that they're lefties. It's
Yeah.
not even that they're righties. It's
They
not even
can't
that they're
laugh at
woke.
themselves. They can't have
There's
a chuckle.
no
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where'd the joy go?
Yeah.
And then they
Well.
pretend to joy too. That's the worst part is when they
Well.
pretend about fake joy. Like they like no, if you can't laugh at yourself, you don't get to laugh at anybody
Right.
else.
And this
That's
is
it.
why so many of their comedians have failed so miserably.
Yes.
Because, if you're going to play, the race joking card, you have to
Hmm.
pick on everybody,
That's
right?
right.
But what they're
Everybody's a
doing
target
is
or
picking
nobody's a
on
target.
one targeted group, and it's not
That's right.
funny, right?
It's not funny.
Dave says, "How about Hiroshima? There's at least two ways people pronounce that. No, there isn't. It's
I'm just gonna
Hiroshima.
let that go. I'm gonna let that simmer. I'm gonna let that simmer.
Americans say Hiroshima, and that whatever
Hiroshima.
you do as you
Yeah.
like. But it's no, it's Hiroshima.
Hiroshima.
And the Japanese, and keep in mind, Japan is not called Japan. It's
That's true.
it's Nihon.
Yeah.
It's
Nihon.
you know, it's like
Didn't it
India
used to
is
be
not
one
India.
of its ancient names Yamato? Isn't that one of the old names for Japan from back in the day? I swear that's true. I swear I looked that up
Yamako.
before.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was just a region, and
Gotcha.
they that was
Like
just a little.
Palestine. Gotcha.
Well, yeah, but it
Millennium.
was just a Chinese colony. And they
Mm.
still
Mhm.
argue about where it is and stuff like that. But that wasn't Japan itself. But it was just a little place. But it's a
Well,
lot
no,
of.
you're telling me those East Asians are arguing about stuff?
No,
No,
yeah, we've
not
got.
them.
Yeah,
They all
yeah.
get along great.
But there's a lot of countries that we don't actually call them by their correct name,
Well,
right?
that's because our word is better, and you're just going to accept it, and
Whatever.
that's just how it
Yeah.
is.
But like
Oh, it's
China,
just a process of colonialism. Like it's just a product of colonialism, and
it is.
China has been some form of China to the West for. I mean, we that's what we call our plates for crying out loud.
Well,
Like for a
yeah,
long, long time.
actually, the China one is interesting
Hmm.
because Nihon here, Japan, they were called Wa for a long, very long time because they were
Hmm.
basically, oh, it was a colony of China, and that's what the Chinese called them. They
Right.
changed their name, and of course, Nihon is I love the story behind how they got their name because about 1300 years ago there was all that chaos going on with the asteroid that struck into Africa, and it was a bad deal, right? Caused a lot of
Yeah.
trouble,
Yeah.
shut down the
Hmm.
Roman Empire, shut down everything. And
Shut
of
it
course,
down.
China was in complete chaos, and the Japanese saw an opportunity for freedom and they took it. And of course, the Japanese are shit at war. Their economic warfare is what they do. And
Mhm.
they send a letter saying, "Excuse me, you are our colony. What do you think you're doing?"
Whatever
And
we like.
right, and the Nara kings sent back a letter, and it said, "From the land of the rising, from the land of dawn to the land of dusk, go fuck yourself."
Nice. I like
Right?
that.
So
I like
therefore, that's where they got their name, the Land of Dawn, Nihon.
yeah.
Right? I love that story. Of course, most Japanese don't know that story, which is interesting.
Ye
But of course, the Chinese one is interesting because of how old it is. Of course, keep in mind that we get the name China from Qinhua, who is the first emperor, and that's like Roman era,
right.
right?
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was
So
saying. It's been around
that's
forever.
old, dude. Now it
Mhm.
rekindled itself with when the Tokugawa shogunate shut down Japan, who were really the ones that were everyone was desperate for their porcelain stuff, but they
It's
shut
still
it.
amazing.
Yeah, it
Still
is.
love it. I have some. I have a bunch. Japanese
It's
bowls that
wonderful. I
I
love it.
bought here. So good.
But they shut that down, so the Chinese, artisans took upon the opportunity and selling to the Europeans, and that's where you get China from, right?
Yep.
But it's a very ancient one. So keep in mind that China's name is Zhongguo,
Yes.
right? Which is,
Yep.
I understand why we call it China because who's going to go around saying Zhongguo? No one, right? But of course, what it means is center of reality, the Middle
Yeah,
Kingdom.
of course it does. Of
We
course it
are
does.
everything. Look at us shine.
That's right.
They've
Yeah.
always been assholes, dude. They've always
Always.
been
Since
assholes.
for oh, since forever. All you can literally go read ancient writings from ancient writings, and they're just complaining about dealing with the Chinese, complaining
Yeah,
about it because they were
always.
such a pain in the ass.
They are. The Chinese are assholes, dude. And now I'm not saying the Japanese couldn't be, but Japanese, I don't know. I don't know if I'd use the word asshole. I think the word for the Japanese I'd use is brutal.
Interesting.
They
I
don't
like
even,
that
they
choice.
just didn't play even a little bit. I mean,
That's right.
like for instance,
Severe.
it's just beyond the pale. And you kind
Yeah.
of wonder how society got to that. Because like they would do things like, let's say that you have a local daimyo. A daimyo is just a baron, right? I mean, it's a little bit more different, but it's a baron, right? Local lord.
Yes.
And the baron says that the shogun wants this extra amount of tax or this extra amount of thing. And let's say that you're at the meeting, and say you're the village chief, right? You're the boss of
Right.
this village or town, and you say, "But we have a contract." You dare spoke out of line. You dare question a daimyo. Now, the chances are kind of 50-50 that they would behead you and your entire family right there, right then,
Yes, sir.
or just kill everybody in the village.
Mm,
Babies, dogs, don't give a shit. Just
hmm
kill them all for you daring to speak out of turn. That's a bit brutal, right? That's a
Yeah,
little bit, a little
a
bit.
little harsh. A little
Yeah,
harsh, I think. Maybe I don't know. Maybe dial it back a little.
yeah.
Just dial it back, sir.
How did they get there? But that's how they were.
Yes. Which is
Yeah.
why I think you'd like that Shogun show because they don't hold back on it. There's no he
I'm
doesn't pull
I,
even
I'm
though
sure I'd
even
love
though
it,
it's made by a very Japanese man, he's not holding back on
dude.
Japanese history.
I'm sure I'd love it, but fuck Disney.
Pirate it.
No, 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 no.
Just
I'm a
pirate it.
purist, baby. I'm a purist.
The reason I really want you to watch it is because I want to see your takes on how it represents historical
My
Japan.
wife
I
likes
think
it.
it does a good job. I think it does a very good job.
Yeah, and my wife
It's
doesn't
obviously
know
not
anything
perfect,
about
but
Japanese history.
which is she's the Japanese one.
Now, Japanese don't know shit about Japanese history. All they know is they know Sengoku Jidai, they know Edo Jidai, Heian a little bit. They're very rigid in what they teach in Japanese schools. To be fair,
Interesting.
Japanese schools are much more interested in you being very, very, very proficient in math.
Yes, which is
Yeah,
good, to be honest. That's where the way the world works, especially nowadays. But
yeah.
yeah, but still, I mean, history is important. If you don't know where you're coming from, you can never really know where you're going. Uh, and it's a shame that they don't know more of it. But then again, as who was it over here? As Howell Comics points out over here,
Mhm.
there's a big portion of America, probably most of America, that think the Fourth of July is George Washington's birthday.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
like it's a problem over here. You can ask people, you can see videos. People, what's the Fourth of July? They're like, what do you mean? They have no idea. They have no
Right.
idea.
Well, I
They're
know
completely
that
lost.
they were telling me that we're sending billions of dollars to a war, meaning Russia and
Yeah,
Ukraine, that Slavic civil war that's going on, and most Americans couldn't point to Ukraine on the map, and it's like, what?
it's one of the biggest countries in
How
the world.
how do you not know? I mean, it's shocking to me. My wife
God.
likes to watch those videos of idiots that they go around and
Mhm.
ask questions and they don't know the answer. She likes the on the street, interview stuff. She likes those
Yes,
kind of things. And I'm usually reading or doing something more important. But I will kind of, side eye it. And it's like, it's embarrassing, dude.
it is. It's
I'm like, what
humiliating,
the hell?
to be honest. Especially when you walk around America asking Americans how many states there are and they don't know. I'm like,
Yeah.
How do you not know? Actually, how don't you know this? This should be like kindergarten level, preschool level. You should have known this.
Yeah.
How do you not know?
Well,
How do you not know?
the best one ever. There's been so many that are hilarious, but the best one ever is some big old fat girl, and he's asking her, and his question, and you can see why he asked it. He's like, "When did America declare its independence?" And she was humming and on that, and like, "Oh, I know it's on the tip of my tongue." And of course, the whole damn time she's wearing a shirt that says 1776 on it.
Oh my
I shit
gosh.
you
Oh
not, that is
no.
real.
No, 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 no.
Right? But I mean, that's the best. That's got to be the best one. But
It's pretty
it's
bad.
shocking that people
Pretty
don't know.
bad.
I mean, knowing when did we create our Constitution? People not knowing the specific date on that. Okay, fine. A
Yeah,
lot of
because it's
people would say
muddy.
1776. They might say,
Right.
and then okay, fine.
It's muddy.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. That even though it was a decade later,
Right.
some of the stuff is so simple.
And it's
Um,
so it's ingrained into our folklore all over the place. July 4th, 1776. It's everywhere.
it
You
is
can't
everywhere.
escape it.
It's
So how do you not know? Like that'd be like not knowing who George Washington was, which I'm sure there's plenty of Americans who have no idea. How is that
I
possible?
can held my hands up. He was an asshole.
Well, yes, but he was also the father of the country
He was.
and one of the best presidents we had, even as the first. For no other reason than his
He
one
just stayed out of
his
the way. Yeah,
he stayed out of the way. Well, he did get involved a little bit, but he mostly stayed out of the way. Two, he stepped down when he didn't have to. He could have
that's
easily
true.
just went for the rest of his life. And 3, his farewell address is phenomenal, and
It
I
is
wish
good.
Americans would have listened
It
to
is
it, but
good.
they, of
Yeah.
course, did
Of course,
not.
they've never read it. But
No.
no, of course not. No, Jefferson, I was really our first president. As
Yes,
far as
that's true.
being a president,
Well,
George
because the
pretty much stayed
country
out of
was
the way.
still congealing by Washington. Like, it was basically Washington's country when he was president,
Yeah, he
because he
could
was
have
the
become
popular
king if he
figure.
wanted. Yeah,
He could have easily just declared himself emperor, and nobody really would have complained too much.
yeah,
And then by after his term, I mean, we basically had a lame duck who was a mess. And then Jefferson came in, and he was a great man, but he wasn't a good president. Jefferson came in and was America's first true. I agree with
yeah,
you,
yeah,
true
yeah, yeah.
true
He was
president.
in
He
the thick
also
of it.
led us to the first victory of international war as a country,
Yeah,
against the Barbary pirates. So
yeah,
with Sweden, actually, that was
yeah,
our
yeah,
ally. It was
yeah.
nothing Swede.
Interesting with that.
Swedes.
Yeah. And Adams, I don't care what anyone says. Adams was our first Jewish president.
He was pedantic like
He
one.
was, and he was so dour and angry about
Oh,
everything. He
everything. He was a miserable
he
wretch
was
of a
a
man, and
miserable wretch. Yeah.
because his mainly because his cousin was more popular and was never president, I think. I think there was a little jealousy in old John. I think
Yeah.
he didn't like that Sam was more beloved and a bigger folk hero than
Oh
him.
yeah. Well, because he's freaking Sam Adams, dude. He's
He
got
was
a
he
beer.
was a beast. He was a beast,
Yeah,
Sam
he
Adams.
was a
That's
man,
why.
man. Yeah, where John was much more a librarian. Yeah,
Yes, he was an academic, a
he
scholarly
was very
man.
smart guy.
Very smart man, very
Hmm.
smart. Was a great ambassador for America, actually,
Hmm.
afterwards, but he was not a good president by any measure. He was not a good president.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
it's kind
Jefferson
of
was.
interesting
Jefferson was
as well that Ben never ran, because he was
Didn't he
very
die before?
essential.
No, I guess he could have ran against Washington.
He could have, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
essential in all of that, but he never
because he
did.
died in 1790, I believe. I believe is the right year. Because he was old. He was old when they were doing all. He was in his 80s, I think, or 70s
He
when they were
was,
doing
and
all
that's
that
probably
stuff.
why he didn't. But
He didn't need to. He was such a, I mean, he was a living legend by that point. He was the
oh
most
sure,
influential member of the original Congress. Not It's not even close.
no, yeah,
And it's one of
absolutely,
the reasons why Jefferson and Adams, they had a little bit of a tiff with him, because when they were writing the Declaration, well, when Jefferson was writing the Declaration of Independence, they were trying to ratify it as an official legal document, which, by the way, it still is. Americans, just remember that. Um, they wanted to add the lines about slavery, condemning King George for introducing slavery to the
right?
Americas, and blah 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 blah. And they thought Franklin would back him up, because if he backed him up, they probably might have been able to use it. But because he didn't, they had to yank it out. And there was a little bit of a tiff between those three, because they were all three abolitionists.
That's
Adams
true
never
too.
owned a slave. Jefferson obviously did, but he didn't take to the practice. He didn't like it. And Franklin had slaves when he was younger, but he freed them when he could, and then was anti-slavery pretty much till the day he died. So there was a bit of a tiff there, a bit of a rift, because he didn't back him up. But he didn't back him up because he knew that it would just cause tension. It was, we call it the Great Compromise for a reason.
Yeah,
The Southerners wanted their slaves, clearly,
yeah. Who's
and
going
he
to
knew it
pick
was
the
just going to cause
cotton?
tension.
That was the argument,
Yes. Oh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Who's
doesn't
going to
it?
pick the
Yeah,
lettuce? Huh.
yeah,
Interesting, Democrats. You can't let
yeah.
it go, can you?
No,
You
they're
just can't
dumb.
let it go.
They have no situational awareness whatsoever.
He did have gout. That is true. He
He
did
did.
have gout.
He did.
He did. Yeah.
Well, he that was a hard living boy right there.
Yeah, he liked to party a bit.
Oh boy,
He liked he
like
liked
the
him the
girls.
women's.
He did.
Yeah,
He did.
he
His
did.
French ladies.
True
But
Renaissance
I
man,
kind of
that one.
imagine he had more than gout.
Yeah, he probably had a cocktail in there.
He
He was a
did.
mess. He had
I'm
a
pretty
bit of
sure there
bit of
was a
everything.
cocktail going
Yeah.
on. He was salt and peppering that dick every day, I imagine.
Salt and pepper.
Am I
See,
wrong?
Chester, this is why when people say that you annoy them, I can't agree. You're too funny. I can't have it. I won't have it. I'm like, nah, Chester's fine. You guys are too soft. Stop it.
Yeah, you
Stop
bunch of damn pussies. There are a lot
it.
of
Salt
soft
and
ass
pepper that thing.
people. So yeah,
There
right.
are. There are. There are. It's a shame. And I used to be a fairly sensitive guy when I was younger, believe it or not. And then I met the wrong woman, and I was like, "Oh, okay. That's the way the world is, huh?" It
Yeah.
smartened me up real quick, and that
Oh,
was
they'll
the end of
do.
that.
Women are good for that.
That
They
was the end
are.
of that real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, but me personally, I mean, I went, I had my wild oats moments in my youth, but I got real lucky. I mean, and I know it. When I was 25, I met the absolute perfect wife. I just
Mm,
got pure. It's pure luck, right?
right.
And I know how lucky I am because a lot of people don't have that fortune both
Yeah,
ways, right?
unfortunately, sometimes they meet the wrong person, they end up with them for various reasons, could
Yeah,
be love, could be others, and then when they get older, like around my age or even your age, they're like, "Why did I waste this much time with this
right,
person?" And then their marriage ends usually because
right.
they're like, "I don't
Unfortunately,
wanna be here anymore."
and
Um,
yeah, and that is the perfect segue, sir.
Here we go, we're segueing, "Hang on, I gotta get
Mm,
back in that room, I had to throw something away. Hang on, I'm not in there, I'm coming.
all
I'm
right,
coming, wait.
all
Wait,
right,
wait, 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 wait,
okay.
wait, where's the thing? Where's the button? Chester, where's the button?"
I don't know.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Um, Now, normally I would not give time of day to such things. My wife would, but I wouldn't. But I noticed because I was with my wife and we were watching YouTube stuff,
Yeah.
and I had noticed that every day there was stuff popping about Harry and Meghan. You know,
Oh boy. Here we
the
go.
royals. And I don't
Here we
usually
go.
give a shit about that. But I was like, oh, whatever. Because my wife was here. There was like this little 30-minute documentary on what was going on from a BBC presenter who also has his own YouTube channel. And I have to say, it's not something I watch because I don't care about gossip and fashion and celebrity stuff. But this dude was very thorough, very researched. He didn't say anything he couldn't prove. It was very professional, I have to say,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And he was
Mhm.
British, which we shouldn't be shocked. Um, and it's always nice when you have someone who covers that kind of thing that's not gay, because the gay guy and then the girl next to him think, "Oh my God, did you see what she was wearing?" Right? I mean, that's all you get because all it is I'm gay, which is the problem with identity politics. Just like the mayor of Los Angeles, the only thing she's got is she's a black lesbian. That's it. There's your
Right.
beginning and your end. She ain't got nothing else, right? But this dude is a straight old white dude that the BBC was put on covering it, right? Anyway, now we all know she's a bit of a bitch and he's a bit of a cuck, an idiot.
Yes.
I mean,
That's true.
you know, because he's
Yeah.
going on and on about I'm the spare, but yeah, you are the spare because you choose to be. It's his headspace, right?
Yes.
He's obviously incredibly jealous of his brother, and his brother William doesn't really play that game. It's only Harry playing it, And I
Right.
think William got lucky, right? I mean, he's even said so. He got lucky. He was kind of those royals kind of get arranged marriages most of the time, right? And Kate
Yeah.
Middleton was that kind of situation. She's part of that royal succession, right? And but as it turned out, William and Kate get along really well. They like
Seem
each
to
other.
enjoy each other. Seem
Yeah.
to enjoy each other.
He
Yeah.
got lucky. She got lucky. They got lucky, right?
Well, I mean, she did marry royalty, the future
Well,
king, so I think
but she's royal too, though. She's part
I
of
think
that.
she got lucky.
Maybe, but I'm just saying that, they got lucky in the fact that they actually like each other.
I
That
unironically think they should just force him just get the old man out of there and let him be king.
Yeah, let Willing come in. It would be nice, a
Yeah.
nice breath. Because honestly, Charles needs to shut down the freaking the government
Yes.
and make him
Yes.
force a revote. But he won't do it because he's a cock. He's a pussy,
He's
right? He
pussy.
is.
Yeah.
Whereas William probably would. But anyway, to continue the thought, with William, he follows the rules. He does what he was supposed to do. So does Kate. But like I said, they like each other. And it turns out, I'm sure when William was young, he was partying hard just like his brother. But William was always had the wherewithal to keep it quiet. Whereas Harry is like, I'm the spare. Look at me, right? Look at me,
Yeah.
everybody, look at me, and that's why he was always causing trouble. Where William, kept it quiet. I'm sure. It's funny how it turned out that those two got lucky because they clearly like each other, and they both like being pedestrian mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's the reality. They go do the shit they're supposed to do, but when it comes right down to it, they like just being parents. That's what they like. My wife loves the fact that Kate is always wearing Zara, which is my wife's favorite fashion brand, and it's the average middle class lady's fashion, Zara, right? But that's them. That's what it worked out for them, and good for them, right? They're happy and they're normal, even though they're not. Harry. Now, like I said, we all know Harry's a bit of an idiot. He doesn't have self confidence. He causes all his own troubles. However, watching this very thorough documentary, the reason why if you haven't been paying attention, the reason why there's so much shit about these two, Harry and Meghan, popping up on the internet, is because there was a whole bunch of scandal dropped on them, right?
Mm.
And basically, what it was is a guy who did a bunch of the fashion shoots for the magazine she did finally broke his silence and came out. And then with him doing that, everyone else felt confident enough to do so. Everybody in the fashion world, magazine world, Spotify people, everybody that they had interacted with came out and just dumped it, right? And here's the skinny on it. She is not a little bit of a bitch. That's a full blown mega cunt.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I mean, holy shit. I mean, I don't want to put this label on it because I know it's not true, but that's one of the worst human beings I've ever seen. She is
Yep.
bad, dude. Bad, bad. Manipulative, liar, controlling, just an absolute terror, dude. A freaking nightmare to deal with. And of course she's lied many, many times and caused a lot of trouble. And the two big ones that I don't want to stay on this too long, but I just want to mention it because you said that and segued it. Is
Mhm.
this. You remember how she was saying that there was that row going on. We didn't know what was going on. And then she told, what was it, Oprah, I think, that the Queen said to her she wondered how dark the baby would be,
Right.
implying racism. Remember? Um, and Oprah was like aghast. My God. Okay, Oprah, calm down. But of course, the truth is this: the Queen never said that. No one said that. Of course, we know the Queen wouldn't say that because that's a hardcore, rigid bitch right there.
Yes.
She's very pedantic, that lady. And she would
Mhm.
never make such a faux pas ever, right? But this is
Right.
the deal. This is what happened. You see, with the royals, especially under Queen Elizabeth, you're not allowed to show any wealth or power, right?
Mhm.
And like for instance, they'll do all kind of photo shoots when they do a royal ceremony, and they'll have all this beautiful golden diamond jewelry on it. It's not theirs. It's loaned to them for the moment, and then of course it's returned because they can't accept those kind of gifts because they want to be austere, right?
Mhm.
And they're very strict about that. And she told Harry that because she's incredibly manipulative. She said to Harry that, "Oh, I'd love to be on this magazine. I wonder if it ever could happen." And of course, Harry, being the cuck he is, like, "Oh, let me get to it," even though he knows the rules. And of course, then the palace, with the infrastructure of the palace, saw these magazines coming out with her on it, and they're like, whoa, 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 you can't do that. We have a process because you can't do anything like that if you're a royal without getting full permission because they want to make sure that it doesn't look like you're taking advantage or you look too wealthy or you're doing anything scandalous. They're very strict. They're incredibly austere, right?
Yeah.
And she did that. That's what that row came out of. And also the fact that they did various things and they gave her jewelry to wear, but she couldn't keep it. She was beside herself, upset about it. And that's where she started lying about the Queen. Now, the Queen, we know that's a hardcore bitch. She was, right?
Yep.
But I guess she
Yep.
had softened with her age, and she was like, okay, okay, it's a young woman. She's American. She's used to doing her own thing. And she said, all right, here, here. The Queen was trying to be nice. Said, let her go do some of her acting things, even though I don't think the Queen understood. She never really had a career, and it was dead by that point anyway. But whatever. She said, let her go do some of her acting stuff. Just make sure everything comes through the palace. We can't have anything too scandalous. Now, of course, Harry, being a cuck, was lying to both sides, right? And she was doing
Mm.
stuff she wasn't supposed to, and it got worse and worse. Anyway, you go watch a documentary on it if you're really that interested. But it just shocked me the level of manipulative bullshit from that Meghan Markle girl. I mean, that is a really vile human being, truly
Yeah.
vile. And
Yeah.
Harry is a freaking moronic cunt. He is.
Yep.
He's a little cuck. And I don't know, dude. Like I said, I'm not into that stuff. I don't really care. But I truly don't care. Fuck them, right? But
Mhm.
damn, dude.
Pretty bad.
It's bad, dude. It's epic level country.
It's pretty bad, folks.
Yeah.
You shouldn't put up with this sort of behavior
No,
from
no.
anybody, man or woman.
I
It's
completely
not okay.
understand now why the royal family did what they did. I get it. 100%.
Yes.
I get
Yes.
it. They were 100% correct in this situation. And trust me, I'm an American. I'm happy to believe that they were 100% at fault. You know,
Yes.
but they're not. It's her. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sorry
No,
for that.
she's
But
something else. She's something else as a human. Um, she's a great encapsulation of modern, not just women, but a lot of them are women. Americans, especially of that age. There's a lot of them,
yeah,
which would be my age, basically. A lot of them who don't even understand the concept of gratitude. And
yeah,
because of this, they become very bitter and controlling.
yeah. I'm,
And that's a shame.
yeah.
That's a real shame.
I mean, I could go on for an hour talking about the details of the shit she's done, but I'm not going to. But if you're interested in that, you can go watch it. It's insane how horrible a person she is, dude.
Yes.
And you almost want to feel some pity for Harry, but I don't know that I should. I mean, honestly, he's in such a position he should know better, right?
Yeah. You would think,
But he was
especially
played. Harry
considering,
was played, boy.
well, especially considering when they were younger, he and his brother anyway, from what I understand, they didn't have troubles with women.
No,
So
Harry never had trouble with women. Yeah, no, of
I
course
don't
not.
understand how you end up in this situation over a woman.
Because he thinks he's the spare. He has no self-confidence.
Yes.
He thinks he's that's why he always acted up wearing Nazi uniforms, getting drunk in public like he did because
Yep.
desperately look at me. And we never saw that with William, and he was out partying his ass, fucking girls. He was.
Right.
But he knew, he understood his responsibility. He kept it quiet, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
because when you look at them when they were young, Harry's all from the beginning kind of looked like a butt, where Williams was always the handsome one.
Look
Um,
like a butt.
he did. Am I
Uh,
wrong?
no, no,
No.
no, no. You're not wrong at all.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, these gentlemen, you would think would have had more, I don't know, experience. Well, obviously one of them did because he found the right one and married her.
Yeah,
Uh,
William got lucky. He didn't find her.
yeah,
She was given to him. But
yeah,
they got lucky. Yeah.
yeah. But regardless, you would think that he would have a little bit more wisdom when it comes to female behavior and what to tolerate and what not to tolerate. And you know what? In fairness, most men don't, and
Well,
they end up with miserable. Or here's what also happens: is the women, as they age, become more and more bitter for various
they
reasons.
can. Yeah, that's
Yes.
true. Well, he also got a little bit of pushback for a statement he made very recently when all this scandal's been popping, showing
Mm,
how horrible she was. And keep in mind, the British people had already made the decision on her and they hate her, right? So
yes.
it's not it didn't really dig in. It's just everyone feels validated now.
Mm,
But
mhm.
Harry made a statement because someone asked him, well, what about what's your situation with her? What's going on? And he's like, well, where's she going to go now? I'm all she's got. And it's an
Right.
interesting statement from Harry, because he clearly doesn't understand women of that type at all. Because that kind of woman will leave you just on spite, buddy.
Yes.
So
100%.
yeah, but anyway, like I said, it's something I watched because I saw so much popping in my wife. It's something my wife likes. But I didn't realize it was that bad, dude. I didn't. But there's a lot of things I don't realize. And sometimes things shock me. Like the other day, changing topic back to what we we've been talking about. Um,
Mhm.
you know, the UN keeps browbeating the Japanese to try to make them more gay and bring in more immigrants. Same kind of crap they're pulling everywhere, right? And the
Right.
Japanese have kind of bent the knee partially to it. But the UN finally went beyond the line in the sand, and they
Mhm.
were complaining to the Japanese for the fact that their tenno, their everyone translates it as emperor. It's a misnomer, but
Yes.
they translate it as emperor. Um, can only be male and not female. You're sexist. Japan is horribly sexist place, and the Japanese. Now this shocked my wife as well. The Japanese government said, "Okay, fine then. We're going to pull all our funding for the United Nations," and they did.
I love
I
it.
was like, "Damn," which is the right
I
thing to
love it.
do.
Yeah,
Um,
play
but uh,
hardball with them.
but the thing that once again, it's just like we were talking about earlier with Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed Shadows. They don't understand the culture. Now, like I said, here in Japan it's called a tenno, and they pronounce it emperor. This is not correct. It is not an
Mhm.
emperor. What it is a priest king. It's a priest king, right? This is why the
Right.
shogunates or the dictators are the ones that ran the government, right? The Tenno represents the spirituality of the Japanese people. Now, this might be a shock to you unless you're Episcopalian, but pretty much every religion on earth doesn't allow women to be, priests.
Correct.
Now, you can agree or disagree with that. I don't really care, but it is what it is. So, of course, the West doesn't understand that. They think it's an emperor. They don't know. They don't bother to do their damn research. No one does. All
Mhm.
these idiots. How many years have I been bitching about that?
All of them.
All of the
Everyone.
years. All of
All
the
the years.
years.
Yes.
They don't do their damn research, dude. They don't bother. Just like Ubisoft didn't bother to do their research. They found a person who agreed with their DEI bullshit and they ran with it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It
Anyway, I'm
is
going to get
what it
more
is.
coffee.
Get more coffee.
And
Chat.
Severo's going to lament you the loss
I'm gonna
of
yell at the
the
chat.
Sky Bar. Okay,
I'm
anyway, I'm
gonna
going to get coffee.
yell at the chat. What do we got over here? Over here, chat. How we doing, chat? What are we talking about? Harry is probably not even royal. He's Diana's traitor's son. I mean, yeah, probably. Somebody was assaulted. Somebody we can't. True Diddy has been occurred. Oh no. Lady Celtic Move says hello. Chat. Chester just abandons me. Right after he ends a conversation he was having, he just pisses off to go get coffee, and then just expects me to just ramble on for 5-10 minutes while he's getting coffee. This is what he does. This is a classic Chester move. What he doesn't know is I am a fantastic pontificator. I could just talk about things with no purpose, no rhyme, no reason, no actual intention, and just ramble them off for as long or as short as I deem worthy of doing such. So right now, for instance, I'm looking at my drill. I have a skill brand drill right here. You can use this drill for various things. Right now, it has a scrubbing brush that I use on it that I use to clean furniture with. So there's that information for you. I can also pontificate on he named this about Groundhog's Day. I think we talked about Groundhog's Day for a grand total of, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. Uh that's about it. And I find that rather hilarious because this is what Chester does. He'll set a tone, he'll set a name for the stream. And then we'll barely touch that very regularly. And somehow we get talking about Japanese etymology of words, and then we're just there for a while, and somehow we can't get back. So I find that actually hilarious that Chester's mind, this gentleman who is a very accomplished man, multiple degrees, runs a few businesses all by his lonesome, and yet somehow we can't stay on topic to save our life. I don't know why, but it's interesting. I've never looked it up. I have heard Howl Comics. I have heard about this that Harry might be Diana Trainor's son. Um, there's a very good chance because I mean, did you see her husband? Come on, come on. I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? That's them royals. Some of them are a real sketch. So there's a very very good chance. It is interesting watching the tariffs go flying out from old Donald. We did talk about that a little bit about the McKinleyism in Donald Trump. His theory on apparently everything is just to tariff it. Um, the solution isn't to remove tariffs. I think tariffs are a very fair form of taxation. They are a tax, but they're a very fair form of taxation because they're a taxation on people trying to enter the market or trying to leave the market, which is not what the market is supposed to be for. Um, Apparently, DeWolf thought we were going to talk about how Groundhog Day was based upon Buddhist concepts of becoming better with each life. It was. I've never heard such things, but why not? Sure. I just thought it was a weird thing that they did in Puxatawny because they like groundhogs. But it could be Buddhist. That could be a perfectly valid reason why it is. Uh, but no, the tariff situation is interesting. It's not new or unique to Trump. This idea that has been being floated around by the mainstream that for some reason this is a Trump idea is ridiculous. Biden didn't remove Trump's tariffs off China, as far as I'm aware. America has tariffed everybody at different points, and everybody tariffs us all the time. It's completely normal, and it's how, for I don't know, many many years, the world was ran before they convinced everybody, and by everybody I mean the powers that be, that a much better solution is income tax and property tax and other egregious taxes that are a massive violation of human rights, but for some reason they just continue to get away with it. Typically because they're able to stoke the fires of envy that, this person has this amount and this person has this amount. So if we tax them both, you see, maybe it'll be more fair, but that's not reality. It'd be great if that's the way the world worked, but when you pull down the people at the top, the people at the bottom don't go up. They just stay at the bottom. Um, so a much better solution is to tax the marketplace directly, which is what we call tariffs. And they've worked all throughout American history. It's very strange watching libertarians be so anti tariff to me because I understand their position. I understand where they're coming from. I probably used to make their same arguments, but they're wrong and they're stupid. That being said, the other taxes that are on top of the American people need to go away. I don't care how they go away, but they need to fuck right off. I think it's ridiculous and egregious. And I also think they should definitely uh, get rid of the property taxes. I don't see any good reason why that should be allowed. I personally, actually, if I had my way, income tax would not only be abolished, it would be made illegal because it is slavery. We can pretend it isn't to make us all ourselves feel better, but the fact that they just get to take a part of your money and you don't have a say in it, right? That's just theirs now. And they pretend like they're giving you all these great services for it, but when you actually go look, the income tax in the federal budget is a drop. It's barely anything. The personal income tax, especially considering the average American gets all or most of it back during tax time this time of year, tax return time. Uh, what are we doing? It's a grand humiliation ritual of the American taxpayer, and I think most people would be okay with it ending, especially if we found some other way to generate that funding, which there's a million different ways you could do it that are far more fair, far more equal, and would actually accomplish the stated goal of making sure that the equality doesn't get too out of hand, right? Making sure the taxation is fair, quote unquote. So I just really think we need to reevaluate the last 100 or so years. The income tax is evil. It's always been evil throughout all of history. There's no argument for it that isn't evil, other than, yeah, but they have more money than me. Well, okay, but they're still going to have more money than you. Even if you take all of their money, they're probably still going to find a way to have more money than you because they have all the assets. So unless you're going to go full commie and just start taking their stuff, uh, your argument is kind of moot because the income tax isn't for that. It's supposed to generate revenue. It does to some degree, but unless you're making like 120-ish thousand a year, you're most likely either very close to parity on how much you pay in compared to how much they actually get to spend, or you're negative on how much you pay in compared to how much they get to spend. And a lot of people, that's a pretty big gap, 0 to $120,000. A big chunk of that, probably about 50% of it ends up paying nothing because they get it all back in tax returns or they get it back in other government programs, like welfare and what have you, Social Security. And it basically just balances it right back out in their favor or the other way. Somebody said this, I can't remember who it was now, but he's a very famous wealthy man, one of these guys who tries to teach people how to make money. And he said the worst thing to be in America with the current situation is in the middle. If you're at the bottom, you can get all kinds of free stuff. Government will pay for it. You can get free health care. You can get all that great socialist paradise. If you're at the top, it doesn't matter because you have enough money that it doesn't matter, right? You can just do whatever you want. It's the ones in the middle who really get screwed because they don't have leverage to go one way or the other. I guess they could always go down, but nobody wants to do that. So they're going to fight very hard to stop from going down a tax bracket. Um, so they have very little leverage to go up. One of the main reasons that is because of the way our tax system works, especially income tax, is the more you make, the more they take. That's preposterous. How is anybody supposed to get up? And still yet, because America is such a wonderful, prosperous country where opportunity abounds, there are still people who do it. They still manage it on a very regular basis. Best place in the world to do it, in fact, is here. Still, even with all the nonsense we have to deal with in this country. Um, but imagine how much better it would be. I think the average income tax a month or average income tax a year, federal income tax anyway, that people pay is like $2,500, $3,000, something like that. That's the average. Obviously, there's people who pay way more, there's people who pay way less. But imagine the average American household just having an extra $3,000 a year. What you
Oh
would
Wait,
do.
well, yeah.
that sounds wait, that sounds preposterous. How is you're saying that the average is only like $3,000 paid in to
Yeah, because
federal?
because most people pay nothing, or
Yeah,
like over
are you talking just federal, or are you
52%.
talking about federal like
Just federal, federal
okay,
income
so
tax.
not including Social Security,
No,
Medicare, and that?
Yep.
Okay,
no.
yeah, that's preposterous because I paid in $9,000 into federal, and they gave me $3 back.
Yeah. Well, I
Here you
think
go.
what is it? 37% of the
47.
American people don't pay anything.
They effectively pay nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 47, and I
Yeah.
think that's actually gone up in the last few years to over 50.
Maybe. Oh,
Pretty
look,
sure.
DeWolf is here. Hey, dude, haven't seen you in a while. Oh, by the way, DeWolf, you and I are going to be very soon, possibly related through mother of another brother. You and me.
Uh oh.
Yeah.
Uh oh. Watch out.
Yeah.
Uh oh. Uh oh.
But yeah,
That's it. You're
economics.
not gonna. You're not gonna.
You're not allowed to
He's not
talk
gonna. He's
about
not
such things
elaborating.
on the internets.
He's not elaborating, folks.
I'm
Just so
not.
we're clear.
I'm not. Well, as fun as economics can be, I thought I might want to do my worldwide travelcade before Roger yells at me.
Oh, on a side note, Chester and
Yeah.
everyone, it's good to see y'all again.
Hey,
Oh,
there,
nice to see
Tower.
you, Tower.
How you been, buddy?
Busy. My dad and my stepfather and my mother are getting married in Vegas on Friday, or not
Mm.
Friday, Saturday. So I'm going to Vegas, which I've never been like south of South Carolina or west of South Carolina before. So that's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Las Vegas,
And
great dude. Lots of shows, good food. Yeah, you'll have fun.
Women.
yep.
Women.
So I'm looking forward to that. Well, I'm bringing my girlfriend with me. She's all the woman I
Hey,
need.
You got
listen.
another one, huh?
Uh,
Everything goes in Vegas.
Chester, you'll be proud of me for this one.
Oh,
We have
good.
been together 6 months, 7 months
Oh,
now.
nice. Yeah,
Excellent work.
that's a long
Way,
Excellent
time.
work, young man.
way
Excellent
happier,
work.
way better. And also, I found out we're going to circuits of the Americas in
Hmm.
Texas for Moto Grand Prix.
That would
Good
be
So
old
I'm,
Grand
pronounced
Prix.
pre, but cool.
No, this ain't France. Prix.
I'm
That's fine. That's fine. This
fair.
ain't France.
Yeah, I've never
Of
been to a
course,
Moto.
someone from South Carolina would say pricks. That is so
They would.
American. You get 10
Yeah,
points,
they would.
sir. You get 10
I'm
points.
from, actually, I am from Illinois, Chester.
Yeah, he's from
Yeah,
Chicago
that
area, if
doesn't
I remember
help.
right.
Well, actually, no, I'm from a town called Juliet, but if you
Yeah,
pronounce it wrong,
Of course you
it's
are.
all the time.
I've been to Juliet,
Oh, yeah,
Illinois. I
no,
have many
yeah,
times. Many times.
no, I'm from Joliet, which
Mhm.
if you pronounce it Joliet, it's like an 85-cent fine.
Oh,
It's
fair.
in the law
Fair
books.
enough.
It is in the law books.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's funny.
Nah, DeWolf, I would just don't. I was just being stupid, dude. Don't listen to me. But no, because anyway, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, let me do my travel Kate thing here real quick and kind of
Travelcade.
sum up the planet, shall I?
Let's do it.
Let's start over here in Asia with Taiwan. Trump
Taiwan?
has said, "You too, Taiwan," and they're like, "Aw." Okay. China, literally every day, the streets are blowing up. So that's a thing.
Well, I mean, we have planes crashing too, so
What do you mean by that?
planes
I
crash.
don't know what to tell you. The streets are literally blowing up.
They keep exploding. It's a problem.
Video after video after video. I think it's a little bit. I think they have a terrorist network is kind of picked up in China. A rebellion is picking up. There's of course the economics are on the ground. It's not it's bad. China's bad. We'll see what happens with the pressure Trump's putting on them, but China is in a situation where really what they need to do is get rid of Xi Jinping and try to turn the clock back about a decade.
Yeah,
Moving down to Southeast Asia, they're smiling and chill.
happy.
Check. Australia, still morons that are selling their soul to the Chinese. Thumbs up, Australia,
Good job,
right?
Aussies. They must love being
Um,
prisoners.
they were trying to make a deal to bring the Afrikaans over, which I'll get to when I go across the Indian Ocean. But that fell through because why should we help white people? Actually said within their parliament. Nice.
Excellent.
Um,
Excellent.
India is amassing troops on the border, as is China, again, because China is
Yeah.
trying to bully and take Bhutan again. So there's that. And they're
Mhm.
always butting heads. The media never talks about it, right? The
Yep.
Middle East is still a shithole. But yet, Trump went over, keep in mind, he went over there and he talked to them and he said, look, terrorism's your problem. Fix it. I summed it up
Yeah.
for you. It was about an hour speech, you know how Trump is. But I summed it up. And that you could hear a pin drop in that room.
Right.
Daddy walked in and put them in their place and they were dead silent. Have you seen that? Him speaking to the OPEC?
I have not. He's been doing everything. He's been all over the
Dude,
place.
he just that
I've been
guy
like,
doesn't
I've been
sleep.
doing this. Here's my move. Hands off. I'm gonna stay away from it. I'm gonna try
Yeah.
not to look at it too much because I want him to succeed as much as
Mhm.
possible because it's better for the
Yeah,
world if
Roger.
America
Really.
succeeds. And also because I just need to de-stress from politics for a minute.
Oh,
Just
it's
for a
great.
minute.
It's entertaining as hell. I love it.
For a minute. Well, I like to watch the
I-
reactions to it. That's
okay, my only input that I'll put on it with like the Trump administration that I personally like is the whole flood the media strategy where
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like
Well, flood the
Trump is
Democrats. Yeah.
every day. But to me, I mean, as far as like geopolitics and stuff, and I feel like most people are going to be on this page, it gets you more involved with the world around you. Because when you look at, like, say, the Biden, like, shit happened, but you don't really. Like, you can tell me a few key things that happened when Biden was in office, but like Trump's been in office a week, 2 weeks, and it's just like thing after thing after thing. Like,
Yeah.
he's every day there's something new. Where Biden, you'd go for like weeks without a time and you wouldn't know shit, or they would tell you and
That
they'd just
word
be
is
saying,
pronounced months.
yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Chester, Chester
you
split.
go months without hearing anything from the previous
Oh
administration,
yeah.
and then when they did tell you stuff, it was just word salad. Like, they were saying the keywords with like no actual information.
Right.
Where Trump's just like Trump and all of his people say the same stuff roughly, so like you actually have an idea of what's happening.
Yeah, no. They're much more clarity with them, much more straightforward, and you can always trust. In every speech, Trump is going to tell you that he won all 7 swing states. Nevertheless,
That's right.
Travelcade. Down in Somalia, we killed terrorists. Cool.
Excellent
Good.
work.
All right.
Excellent work by everybody
Um,
involved.
it looks like Trump's offhand remark, although people keep calling them offhand remarks, even though I don't think they are, like
I think
Canada,
he keeps
Greenland,
making them.
Panama. He said, "Yeah, let's take all the Palestinians out of the Gaza and put them in like Egypt or Jordan." And everyone was like, "Oh, that's stupid. Oh my God, this is our land. Kill all the Jews." You know, the normal rhetoric.
As they do. Yeah.
But no, he's doing it. Sweet.
See, Chester, I think a big thing with Trump too in these policies is, like you said, yes, a lot of it he is doing, but I feel like a lot of these really bold claims, like, oh, let's make Canada the 51st state. Any sane person's gonna know that that's not like what the majority of people are going to want or do.
Oh no,
But
I want it.
I want it.
I would too, but I know a lot of Canadians.
I don't want it to be the
There's going to be a
51st
lot for
state.
it, but there's going to be
I
a lot
want it to be
against
the
it.
51st through 57th. Yeah.
No, I'm
See,
fine with it just being a territory.
but yeah, so right, the Canadian territory. But no, I think Trump is big on making these very I don't want to say exaggerated, but these very bold statements, and then he could walk it back a little bit, but it definitely changes. It's like Trudeau. I don't think Trudeau would have stepped down if it hadn't
Well,
been for Trump. It's Trump puts pressure on things
has
that
he
need.
stepped down? Because he's still talking for them.
Well,
I thought he was.
he said he
I
was
thought-
going to, and
Yeah,
then
I
he
think
was
he's in the process of
backpedaled on
it.
it.
So
Yeah.
I think he's in the process of it.
Yeah.
So his party can
Right.
elect a new.
Anyway, I'm going to
whatever.
get there. You're messing with my travelcade.
I'm sorry.
This
All right.
boy.
So
I'm petting a dog. So you
Egypt and Jordan are going to end up taking the Palestinians, it seems. Moving down Africa, shithole, shithole, shithole. Give me a second. It's a big country, big continent. South Africa. Now, of course, South Africa has had a lot of pressure put on them from Donald Trump. You may or may not have known that. But he's pressuring a lot of people that the media just can't keep up with it. As Tower said, he's blitzkrieging them.
It works.
They can't keep up with it. The Democrats can't keep up with it. Which executive order do you get up and scream about? He's just blitzkrieging them, and it's working. You're right.
Machine gun. Pow, 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 pow.
Yeah. However, what was the ANC? I know, not very creative thinking. The leadership of South Africa. What was their response to this pressure? Because really, what Trump wanted him to do is to get the GNC. Yeah, I know. Yeah, under control, and some of the other chaos that's going on in there. You know, murdering white people and all. To get in, and keep in mind, they don't have electricity every day. Yeah. But what did the ANC do? It was like, yeah, that sounds like work. We're just going to take all the money out of the treasury and say, fuck off. And of course, their leader said, white people have no right to anything that is black Africa, even though none of these fucking Butus are from there. Keep in
That's
mind,
correct.
they're from the frickin' Ivory Coast, went all the way across the eastern top of Africa, killed everything in their way, and they came all the way down the eastern side. They're nowhere near from there, but nevertheless, kill white people. And therefore, you as a black person are allowed by the president order to take any land you wish to seize. Yeah, chaos ensues. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any resolution there whatsoever. The Africans have always been in a defensive stand. Now they're in an offensive one because it's coming at them. And we're probably going to have stories like in Zimbabwe coming up very shortly of thousands, if not tens of thousands, of white people being slaughtered. And the world might well sit back and do shit as they did last time. Right?
Maybe.
Anyway, Africa. Yay. Jumping across the Atlantic Ocean over to our southern half of us, South America, we have Argentina. Milei's doing great. Chile is quietly being awesome as usual. We have Colombia and Venezuela who have been barking at each other for a few years now about war, but the saber rattling got to the point that they're literally amassing troops on both borders. And keep in mind, Venezuela has been threatening Ghana, the black country, right? Black people country right next to them, because they made the mistake of finding oil. Yeah. So that's going on. But we might well see Venezuela and Colombia come to full on blows. And when you look at the tail of the tape of the two militaries, I do believe that Colombia has one jet, but Venezuela has 8. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, of course, people are calling for the Americans, Trump particularly, to get involved, and I'm like, I don't know. He's a little bit busy. He's a little bit busy.
He
But
is. He
that
is.
could easily blow up any day. Expect that in the news because it is literally they're amassing on each other's border right now. So
Part of me respect that though with Trump, just the whole not throwing U.S. servicemen into other countries'
yeah,
battles.
no, I agree. Yeah, why,
If
yeah,
it became an issue that affected Americans and American interests, then it makes sense. But if it's two countries going at it for their own reason, why should we send
dude,
our men to
yeah, they're two
against?
communist countries that are riddled with drug trade and cartel influence. Let them murder the hell out of each other, please. Let it go. Right?
Yes,
Honestly, if Argentina, Brazil, Chile, if they want to get involved in that, you go right ahead. That's your neighborhood. But America, why should we get involved in it? But moving up, Central America or Mesoamerica, as we used to call it, is yeah, chaos. And then Mexico. The cartels are afraid. They're shaking in their damn boots. So every day they're shooting guns across the border, throwing grenades, setting up little, what do they call those roadside bombs that the Afghanis like so much?
AED.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
IUDs. Yep.
IUDs. And of course,
IED.
um,
I think
IED.
it's
Okay.
AED.
IUD is something totally different.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But of course, Trump has made hints that of course, he did his executive order that the cartels are now considered terrorists, and he's made a couple offhand remarks in various interviews that people saying, "Are you going to send military or special services down?" He said, "Oh, that could happen. Reality stranger than fiction. Yeah, maybe." Right? The thing I like is we've got several operators, actual Delta Force dudes. Like I said, I don't think they call it Delta Force anymore, but you know what I mean. That have been kind of piping up, but they're salivating on that. So, yeah, that could be a thing. Of course, Mexico said, "We're going to equal the trade war. We do 25% on you." Okay,
And we just go, okay,
sure,
okay.
sure thing. Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
Canada, of course, you're probably much more aware of the situation in Canada. But Justin Trudeau, who's supposedly not in charge anymore, but is in charge, I guess, got up and of course, keep in mind the situation with Mexico is very different with Canada. With
Hmm.
Mexico, what Trump is doing now, not no, of course, Mexico and Canada both have a $200+ billion trade deficit with us, but the whole planet has a trade deficit with us. To be fair,
Yes.
but the Canadian situation is Trump said, because, keep in mind, remember this, back on Thanksgiving, Trump's having his little, several hundred people Thanksgiving party, right? Trudeau just shows up. He wasn't invited. It's the same thing Gavin Newsom did, just showing up at the airplane begging. It was hat in hand, right? Trudeau just shows up to this guy's freaking, Thanksgiving party dinner, right? And, wants to talk to Trump about, these proposed tariffs and stuff like that back in November. And Trump that's where he made the joke like, maybe Canada could be the 51st state. That's where it came from, right?
Yep.
And basically, what Trump said to him is, look, illegals are coming across your border like a sieve. Drugs are coming in from your border with no work or effort on your part. Fix your
Yep.
border. Do your job. That's what he said. And what did Trudeau do? He put up a bill. He went back. This was in December. He put up a proposed bill to increase border security. Great, right? 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 But
Yes.
no, 97% of that budget was to deal with his DEI gay shit. It was all pork barrel. It
Right.
wasn't doing nothing, right? And of course, Trump's like, well, I told you what you had to do, and they didn't do it. So here you go. And of course, Trudeau got up and he said, well, we're going to put a 25% on you. So Trump's response was, okay, I'll double it. So we'll see how that works out. What's the going bet? Someone go check Las Vegas. How long before Canada caves?
I bet you there is
I
somewhere.
bet you. Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah. How long before Canada caves and the idiot Justin Trudeau, right? Because it's different with Mexico. Because with Mexico, the big problem there, other than drug cartels and the migration issue, there's so many issues, right? But
Mhm.
a big one that the media, of course, never talks about is what I mentioned earlier. China will send, because there are already tariffs on China. This is an additional 10%, right? They will take their product, they will bring it into Mexico, they will assemble it, which they really just warehouse it, and then send it into America, getting around the tariffs. That's the real reason he's doing it, right? The other things are just milk, right? So Mexico is a very different situation.
Mm.
But that's what's happening in North America. Europe, the Europeans are shaking their boots by design. Trump pulling out 20,000 troops, doing all the things that he's doing, I'm going to get to you in a minute, Europe. Just be patient. That kind of stuff. He's trying to scare them, because by the time he gets to him, he wants it to be done quickly, and it will be. It will be. I don't care about saber rattling from fucking Macron. Screw you, Macron. You ain't got no fight in you whatsoever. And of course, that brings us to the Ukraine Russian Slavic Civil War, which Zelensky and Putin seem bored, because it's quite clear that our president, Mr. Trump, said that hey, you guys just chill. We're gonna terrify these Europeans a little bit.
Mm. Mhm.
That's what it
Mhm.
seems to me, because things have been very chill, right? So yeah, are you happy, Roger?
All around the world.
I did the
And
whole
no,
planet.
I don't actually see one, but I bet you it'll pop up
I
soon.
even mentioned Bhutan.
You're the only one who does.
I know. Yeah. Did you know that we were sending tens of millions of dollars to Burma for DEI support of young Burmese girls?
I did not.
Yeah. Have you ever met a Malaysian person? You know, that those people we call in anthropology, we call all those people Malay, the Malay people. Have you ever
Hmm.
met one?
I have not.
Yeah, they're pretty Buddhist, a little bit. Much
Oh
more
boy.
than, because people usually put Buddhism on China, even though they burned all those temples. It's
Mm.
really the Thai, the Laos especially, Vietnam to a point, and of course Burma. These are and Malaysia a little bit. These are the Buddhists, right? And do you
Right.
know what a Buddhist would think in regards to DEI? I mean, it's once again not doing your research, because a
Yeah.
Buddhist, they believe that the life you lead is in an eternal effort to incrementally improve your enlightenment of your soul, to that when you one day when you die, you will not be reborn into the mortal world, you'll be reborn into the heavens, therefore becoming a Buddha. Okay? That's how
Yeah.
they think, right? They don't care about gay at all, meaning that it's you do as you do. There is no trouble with homosexual hate in the Buddhist world at all. Zero. Go to Thailand, go to any of these places. They actually have a word. Think about this. We don't have a word for a person who is male or female and chooses to live as the other gender. We just say transgender. That's not a word, that's a description, right?
Mm.
They actually
Mhm.
have a word for these people. They call them the katoi, right?
Mhm.
So trying to sell DEI, it's kind of like singing and you're preaching to the choir.
Right.
They're already that way. Therefore, someone's putting money in their pocket is my point. Anyway, did you find that betting line?
No. No, it's not out there yet.
Yeah, happy,
It will
happy
be though, I bet.
Groundhog Day, DeWolf. I said that in the beginning. I,
It
I,
will be,
I
I bet.
actually watched Punxsutawney Phil this morning. He went back in his hole. 6 more weeks of winter. Yeah, I watch it every year.
Um, no, it will be. Though eventually it will. It depends how long it goes, because most people are expecting these to just fold very quickly, which they probably will.
They probably will,
Um, yeah,
especially
there's just
Canada.
the reality is America is currently economically the king,
Roger, that's cute.
and it's not really close for most countries. So yeah, Trump throwing the weight around. It's really should have happened decades ago. These trade deals with all these countries are mostly a joke. Even the one Trump renegotiated still isn't that great. We're still getting the short end of the stick in a lot
No,
of ways. Um,
yeah, I know, DeWolf.
these sorts of things. are important for a president to do. Look, I would much rather have a president who doesn't have this much power and a federal government who doesn't have this much power in general.
He's
But we
working
don't
on
live in
it.
that we don't live in that world. We simply don't. We haven't for we never have. Nobody in here ever has lived in that world. So you have to you have to play the cards that you're dealt. You have to play the cards in your hand. And if the power's already there, I would much rather have it doing things that I want it to do than things that it's not. And in this case, I really while you were gone, Chester, I was giving a whole liturgy, if you will, on tariffs and why income tax and all these things are evil. And Trump has floated the idea that he wants to end the income tax, um, which he should do wholeheartedly. I would much rather live in a world where you have things like tariffs, you have things like a president that's powerful, but he's doing the right things, or at least the right things that he can in his circumstances, than live in a world where the government has absolutely no power and then bad things happen. As much as it would be nice, because we can't really get back to that world without massive reform, which
Everybody
again, you're right.
wants to
Trump's
talk about that.
trying to do that. Trump's trying to do the massive reform right now. He wants to. And hopefully bills start showing up that will show us this for long term.
Yeah.
But he hasn't done it yet. So until it's done, I would rather he keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah. American people got to be patient for about 6 months to a year. What were you trying to say, Tower?
Everybody, like a lot of people like to quote, like, oh, back when Reagan was president, everything was great, and that was a big thing with Reagan was peace by strength.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything wasn't great, but yeah, I get your point. Um,
Well, I mean,
Rose-colored
I'm not
glasses.
gonna a huge, you know as well as anyone, a huge portion of the voter base is older folk.
Yep.
And I don't know about you. Well, I know you're in Japan too. So, but if you talk to anybody who's 60 or plus years old, the first thing they'll say with politics is, "Ooh, Democrats great, Republicans bad." Back in Reagan's day,
Of course, this
literally.
has always been true. Do keep in mind that that little Austrian painter from World War II was a godsend to the Democrats. People think that them going around calling everyone Nazis all the time is new. It's not. They've been doing it since literally the 50s. As soon as
Yeah.
that was that was just a godsend to them. Oh my God, we can call people Nazis, right? Call them Hitler, right? That's what they've been doing this for decades. It's not new.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
All
Every
correct.
damn Republican president or running for president has been accused of this. Everyone, right? But one thing I do find interesting, because a lot of the kind of socialist leadership around the world is just whinging and whining, right? Which is what pretty much all they do. But you're getting some of the opposition in some of the places that aren't 100% taken over by them are starting to say things like make Austria great again, make Japan great again, make my country great again. And it's
Yes.
like they finally caught on. It took you a while there, buddy. Because what do you think Trump is saying? For years, since his first term, Japanese people ask me, because I'm an American, therefore I know every other American, everything about America, right? Of course. Um, what we don't like the fact that it's America first, and I'm like, why? Why shouldn't it be? He's the American president. Shouldn't it be America first? Why aren't you doing Japan first? Because the thing is, if the whole world was like that, my country first, as it should be, the level of competition that would create, and the whole planet would literally level up, literally
Yes.
level up.
Yes.
And yes, you should be saying, my country, make my country great again. You should be doing that earnestly,
I agree. I
earnestly.
agree. Everybody should want that for their people,
Yep.
their own people.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's controversial to some people to even say that tells you how destructive the principles of globalism, and really it's just international communism rebranded, have been to the human psyche, not just the American or Western, but globally. And it's a problem. And it's a problem that I think guys like Trump, guys like Millet, guys like Bukele, and others all over Europe are trying to fix. They're
Yeah.
trying to reignite like you said, reignite in their people this we call it nationalism. It's really just pride in your heritage.
Yeah,
Like there's nothing
populism,
wrong with
pride.
there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with having pride in your own heritage and your own
No.
people. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And only Americans can come up with the idea that there's some Americans and European former
Champagne
Europeans,
socialist.
champagne socialists, could come up with this idea that you should feel bad
Yeah.
for loving the people who birthed you. That's ridiculous. That's this. I'm an American. I'm also an American Indian. This is my home. This is my home. This is where I'm from. This is where my people are from. I have no other home. Why would I not want it to be the best it
Yeah.
could possibly be? If you're Swedish, for instance, them Swedes been there a long ass time, long ass time.
We're good. I didn't mention Sweden in my travel log. I think we're about to lose Sweden.
We'll see, but
Yeah.
it's been there a long ass time.
What do you
should be
mean by
proud.
that?
You should be proud of your heritage and of your people and of your culture. There's no reason to be ashamed of it, especially the Swedes. What'd they ever do?
Yeah, that's true, Roger.
Oh, damn it.
This is a
I threw
standard
you
thing.
bait. I threw
But
you bait. You didn't even take it.
I'm sorry. I was reading Roger's statement. I'll come back and you can say it again. I'll go, oh, but no, Roger. If you go and you take a look here recently, a few days ago, the European Union had they were doing their thing, and of course, there were plenty of them saying Trump is evil, and got the same nonsense we've been hearing forever. But there were a
Yep.
lot of people who were getting up there and aggressively pushing back. I haven't seen this. That's new. They're aggressively pushing back against globalists, and there were some words said.
Good. Good.
Anyway, say it again.
I said, especially Sweden or the Swedes. What did they ever do? I threw you some red meat. I was laying it up to you, and you
Well,
just
they
missed
gave
it.
us Austin Powers.
You just missed
Go.
it. Just
No,
missed
did
it.
I? What was I supposed to say?
The Swedes have done things. I was talking about like they shouldn't be ashamed of their heritage.
No, they have. They shouldn't be. That's true.
Yeah,
But they've
not
they've
at all.
absolutely cannoned themselves. The
Yep.
amount. I mean, they're literally the number of grenade and bomb attacks are daily in Sweden.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
There, people are there's full on mafia tactics from these immigrants, these migrants, right?
Mm-hmm.
The military, we were 47. Now there's like 52 districts in Sweden that they can't enter. The
Yep.
police have no control. The military has no control over it. Uh, we're about to lose Sweden. We are going to lose Sweden. And what's going to have to happen is the Europeans are going to have to go in there and make war and kill all the damn Muslims. Is what it's going to come to. And it's like, once again, if you bother to do your research and study history, you would know because we've had to do that before. But yeah,
Yes,
we
I
lost
was thinking
Sweden.
that while you
Yeah,
were saying that
yeah,
this has happened before,
it
especially in
has.
Europe,
And it's in
and it's a
Europe.
shame.
Yeah.
Nobody. The reason this is how you know that these people are decent people. They don't want to do these things. They don't
No.
want to have to do that, but because of various reasons, it might be time to reclaim their homelands, and I hope they do. I hope
Well,
every country
I
does.
think
All of them.
Hungary and Poland and some of those countries over there, they've got to the point where they're just shooting migrants.
Yeah.
So it's gotten to that level. And of course, all of this politic that has caused this, you're causing harm not only to the people in those places, you're hurting the migrants too, right? And
Yeah.
some of those are bad people, sure, but a lot of them are just desperate people looking for a better opportunity. I get it.
I want, and I said this last week, the best solution, and obviously there'll be disagreement on what this is, but the best solution is excellence to many. It's not about equality, that's great. It's not about even fairness necessarily, or maybe even justice, but that's a different topic. It's about excellence. What would be the most excellent way for every single country to thrive? Now, there's various ideologies who claim this, who pretend to this idea of excellence, but there are many things. I would say, nationalism first and foremost at a national level, of course, is very very important. Just on a basic level, that basic level of this is my home and I'm going to protect it is very very important. And that's really when you boil it down, all nationalism is. Now, there's other forms of it that get weird. Sure. But basic nationalism is the nation, which just means family or extended family, your people, effectively, is worthy of protection. The only
Yeah.
argument against it is that it's not.
Yeah, just love
That's
your nation.
globalism.
It's pretty simple.
Globalism is no, it's not. Nationalism is yes, it is. That's
Yeah.
the argument at the end of the
Yeah.
day. That's
And
it.
yeah.
Very
And
simple.
and hopefully the zeitgeist shift that we're obviously seeing with Trump's presence will actually come to fruition. We're starting to see pushing, but who
Yeah.
knows what the long term will be.
Yeah.
I'm going to shift over to some very specific thing here now. But before
Yeah.
I do so, I shall ask Tower to say what he was trying to say earlier.
Oh, I blanked, Chester. You're good.
Very good.
Shift into turbo is what we're doing here, boys.
All right.
Shifting
Now,
into turbo.
I wanted to cover this specifically because of all the rhetoric and nonsense conspiracy theories just floating around everywhere. Now,
Mm.
people love conspiracy theories. Me too.
Yeah.
I love because they can be a lot of fun. But this situation with the helicopter, the Black Hawk hitting the Blue Streak American airline, is really taking the cake. And although Trump is saying, put the information out there, be transparent, which they are doing, is great. There is politics going on around this, of course, right? Let me give you the straight up what happened here, because we do know
Hmm.
actually
Hmm.
with Trump demanding they release the call records and all that kind of stuff between the tower, which usually would take years before you got that, right? But Trump
Right.
said, no, no, get that out, and they did. So the internet's got a hold of it, and We have all the data, we have the mapping data, we have the navigation data, we have everything, right? This
Yep.
is what happened. They were coming down. Pat, the helicopters coming from the north, coming down toward Woodrow Wilson Bridge, right on the
Mm.
Potomac, right.
Hmm.
Now, keep in mind, not only did Trump say this, every aviator that I've seen talking, I mean, I don't care what Joe Blow on his YouTube channel thinks about this. I'm going to go listen to an expert, and that's what I did,
Mm.
right. Every single one of them, including Trump, made it very clear the American Airlines guy, they even call him a hero, he was perfect. He did nothing wrong. 100% did exactly what he was supposed to do. So, end of conversation, right? It's 100% the helicopter and the tower that are wrong here. And I'll let you be a judge of who deserves more blame. I'm going to lay it out to you what happened.
Lay it out.
They're coming down. They're 5 nautical miles out,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
this at this point. Now, 5 nautical miles sounds like a lot, right? But it's literally in this situation 54 seconds. Okay, that's how long it took.
Yeah.
Because not only is the helicopter flying, going way faster than it should have been, by the way. Of course, the airplane can't do what a helicopter does. They're coming in and they have their flaps out and they become a high wind resistance object at that moment. But they're traveling 130 nautical miles an hour at that point. So two objects coming at each other, you take both speeds and you put it together. Anyway,
Right.
54 seconds. They're coming down from the north toward the Woodrow Bridge. And this is what happened. The tower said, I'm not going to use their jargon. I'm just going to say it plainly. There's a plane up there. It's in your path. Do you have visual contact?
Mm.
The pilot, and I know it's a woman, and people are going to make a big deal about that. And I'm going to get into that in a second. I don't know
Hmm.
that it matters so much, but we'll get into it. Said, yes, I see it. No problem. Now, technically, the tower guy shouldn't have done that because it's nighttime, because they're on a run, because it was kind of a little bit, it's cold and hazy and stuff like that. He should have said back up. And of course, it's a helicopter. They can stop and hover. You know, it's what they do. So the tower guy bears some responsibility in the fact that he didn't. But keep in mind, what are we thinking here? That guy is busy doing multiple things, right? It's not just one plane he's
Mm.
dealing with, he's dealing with multiple ones. We know that one of the people who were working specifically in that area with him was allowed to go home early. We don't know why, but they weren't there. So he's busy. You have a military aircraft that's saying, yeah, we got it. What do you do in that situation? You're like, okay, they got it. Right. And I think
Right.
that's what happened. That's my assumption, but that's probably what happened. Now, the tower guy shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't even asked him. He should have told him to back up. But it is what it is. The tower is done in this conversation. That's it. There was no other mistakes made by the tower other than the fact that they trusted the military to do their job when they shouldn't have. Now, to be fair, there was a lot of argument about the exact protocols and was this a breach of protocol or a semi breach? Anyway, there's a lot of argument about that, but clearly that's the responsibility of the tower. They are not blameless. And that dude's going to lose his job, I'm sure, if not get sued to oblivion for that, what I think is the least part of the problem here. The problem was in the helicopter. And the main problem is one, they were traveling very fast. And in that particular situation in the airport, there's a whole bunch of airplanes. Keep in mind, it's not just a helicopter and that one plane. There was other planes too, right? But they're go, go, go. Why are they go, go, go? And it's been revealed. Now, I haven't seen confirmation on this, but it looks like it was revealed that one of the ladies in the back, because there was two. I don't know the instructor, it was male or female, but the lady in the back had her baby with her. So there's actually 68 dead. A little baby's dead. Now, I don't know. I haven't
Mm.
heard confirmation on that, but I saw that seemed to be quite legitimate. They even showed a picture of her with the kid. So I don't know about that, but whatever. They're go, go, go. They're going way too fast. And, excuse me, they they asked the tower for confirmation to allow us. We'll handle it. We'll see. We'll take care of the visual identification of the plane. They requested it, and the tower let them. Now, we
Mm.
have two other problems that are going on in this helicopter. One, the speed they're heading at. Now, if you've ever been in an airplane, you understand that that airplane's nose is always a little up, right? And in essence, you're kind of leaning slightly back, right? Now, they do it as minimally as possible because they don't want to discomfort the passenger, but you're always at the tail's a little bit down, the nose is a little bit up to get that wind coming over the top of the wing to create low pressure and high pressure below it, right? Flight, aviation, right? But a helicopter doesn't work like that. The faster because basically what a helicopter is doing is beating the wind into submission. They're not using any kind of fancy, science. It's just, power. It's sheer power. And the faster a helicopter goes, now this is not an Apache, this is a Black Hawk, it's a truck, right? But what that thing does, it actually leans forward and puts those propellers into the wind and pulling that helicopter forward. The faster they go, the more this pitch, right? And they were
Yes.
hauling. They were hauling. They were
Mm.
doing a minimum 120, and a lot of argument amongst professionals is they were doing more, right? Because of the turning of the plane and anyway, math. But nevertheless, so their pitch is down. That plane is coming down from above them. They can't see that plane. So the question is, why were they in such a rush? Right? Why were they such in a rush? And there's a couple other things that are going to come into this. Another point is this: the altimeter on airplanes. Maybe you know how it works, maybe you don't, but I'm going to explain it to you. The altimeter on a plane basically is judging your distance between you and the belly, where the altimeter is, which is on the belly usually, and and the ground. So,
Mm.
but here's the thing: the altimeter itself must be adjusted every time you get in the damn plane. Doesn't matter what it is, helicopter, plane. The pilot needs to adjust the altimeter. And how do you do that? Well, there's a barometer that does that. And it's a little switch they turn. Because depending on the barometric pressure of the air at that time, of course, we're dealing with this very cold weather, all this kind of stuff. They have to adjust it. and it's very precise. Computers are smart and dumb at the same time, right? They can only take the input you give them. They don't make up their own mind, right? And clearly they put the information in wrong. They didn't set up the barometer correctly to the altimeter. They clearly didn't do this because they were 150 feet off their target, but they thought they were at 200 feet when they were at 350 feet. And the tower's clearly busy looking at all the shit and didn't say, "Hey, why are you 150 feet over your target?" That didn't happen as well. So inside the helicopter, they screwed up with setting up their equipment properly. They didn't do it correctly. They were hauling ass when they in that particular corridor. There was no need for it. And they were, because pitch forward, they couldn't see shit. We could all saw the helicopter. We all saw especially the second video came out, was much closer. The thing didn't move at all. It just went straight into them because they didn't see them. They didn't see it. So they didn't maneuver, they didn't jank the stick, they didn't do nothing. They just went right into them. So here's your truth. There were no Chinese computers that took over control of the helicopter and used it to kill a plane full of child figure skaters. This is a stupid conspiracy, and I don't, where did that even come from? It's it's none of the nonsense. It's not 100% the tower's fault, like the Fox and all these political pundits are trying to say. It's not. It's mostly inside that helicopter. Now let's take a look at the people in the helicopter, and understand that there's a difference between a helicopter and an airplane when it comes to hours in. Now they were telling you that this was an annual check on their nighttime flying. It's something they have to do to be properly licensed in the military. Their military is very stringent, right? She had 500 hours, and the trainer or tester had 1,000 hours. Now, on an airplane, I don't know how that works out, but I listen to these experts, and it seems to be not different. When you're flying a plane, between your 0 and 1,000 hours is considered training. And over that, you're considered competent, meaning like you graduated college, you're competent. It's the beginning. You're not an amazing pilot, you're just considered competent. So in this situation, we had a lady who was halfway there in her training, which is fine. But the tester was only in 1,000 hours, which is base, literally base. Why wasn't there a higher level dude in that position? I don't know. But that's the reality of what happened. There's your situation. So who would you say is at fault here mostly?
The Department of Equality.
Okay, but let's be more specific to the people on hand at the moment. Obviously, the Democratic initiatives have literally molded out every federal building in the government because they don't give a shit about spending money on basic utility and upkeep. They want to do their gay shit. I get it, but let's put that aside and look at the four people who were involved. The air traffic controller should have been two, but someone let him go early. Whatever. We got one. We got three people on the plane. So who's mostly at fault here?
I don't know. And the reason I'm saying I don't know is because we don't necessarily know where the failure was.
We do, because there was no mechanical failure.
I'm saying is we don't know where the failure was first. Was it the air traffic controllers didn't notice they were out of position, which they obviously didn't, or they wouldn't have crashed?
Right.
Because that was literally our original. Everybody, how did this even happen? Like, this is supposedly the most secure airspace in the world.
Their altimeter wasn't set properly. That's why.
Yes. Or was it the people who didn't do the basic maintenance, right?
No, it's not maintenance. It's something a pilot has to do when they get in the cockpit.
Well, it's still maintenance, right? They're still maintaining their ability to use the plane.
I think where you're coming at it is it's not necessarily one individual person's fault. It's a mixture of things that shouldn't have happened. Yes. Plus, I don't want to say incompetence on the pilot, but
yes,
I mean
but she's training though. Isn't that now fall over to the trainer?
Well, she shouldn't be flying in that airspace if she's training.
But at the same time, I mean, I don't know how rank and file works for that situation,
True.
but
That's true.
That's true.
hey, but that if they have 1,000 flight hours and that's bare minimum, who made the decision to let that man be a trainer, man, woman,
Oh, I
whoever?
don't know if it's a man or woman. But yes, you're right. That is a good question.
And then I mean, we could go up we could literally go down the rabbit hole with this.
Right,
Yes.
Well,
but
then
me
the person who
But
personally,
the
I'm
answer
putting the
is
onus on the
always.
helicopter. Personally,
Here's what I'll say. The answer is always it was a competency failure
it was. Yeah,
because that's what it was. And the reason this is happening is because we have multiple government agencies, multiple contractors or whatever, not focusing solely on
that's true,
competency
DeWolf.
as the premium pinnacle top of the pyramid, the pyramidian of all things they do. You must be competent in what you do. And if like you said, even if at one or two of these different levels, there's multiple safety mechanics in this. From the tower to that altimeter to just being a pilot and using your damn eyes. Any of
Well,
that.
they couldn't see because they're pitched forward, hauling ass.
That's what I'm saying, though. The person in that seat that's supposed to be training, or if they're in their ear, wherever they're at, should be like, "Whoa, we're going too fast." They should know
Yeah,
that just by
and
feel
to
that
be
it's going too
fair,
fast.
I watched several experts. I mean, people, military jet fighter pilot, 20, 30 years experience, right?
Yes.
And that was the main thing they were all stuck on as well. Why were they
How
going
fast is it
so
going?
fast in
Yep.
that corridor?
But my point is, it was a massive cascading failure of competency, all the way from the idea that why is there somebody training at night over the most secure airspace in the world
There was DeWolf.
in a dangerous position? Like that doesn't even make sense to me. Why wouldn't that
Yeah.
training be done at day? What are we doing?
Well,
That
no,
doesn't make
the
any,
point
especially not
is,
there.
well, no,
At there.
it has to be at nighttime because that's what they're testing. Night flight.
Yes, but you don't
That's
have to test it there.
No, you
That's
don't.
my
I
point.
agree.
You
I
could go out
agree.
into a field and
I
test it, or
agree.
over
And
a field.
I guarantee you it will not happen again.
I hope
Yeah,
not.
I have a
But my
feeling.
point is
Because
that I'm getting
we
at
haven't had this
is
kind of accident since 1986. Keep that in mind.
it's
It's
been a
been quite a
long
while.
time. There hasn't. What we're seeing now all over the West is a competency crisis. People are getting put in positions they do not have the intellect or the skill or the whatever, the what have you,
It
to
is.
be able to function
It
it, to
is.
be able to
I
just do
actually,
it.
a good example of this firsthand just happened today. So I work at the railroad operating cranes, and there was a guy I trained, and he was shaky, nervous at best. At the end of his 2-3 week training period, I could look at it and say, you know what, he knows how to do his job. He can do it safely. At least he was doing it safely. He's
Mhm.
just slow, but that comes with training. Once
Sure.
you get seat time, you operate the machine by yourself. You naturally get more comfortable. You get faster, better. And today, he was just, I don't know if he's nervous, doesn't pay attention or what. He picked a semi truck 30 feet in the air. Well, he got lucky. It caught the back pin of the trailer, and it picked the trailer 30 feet in the air, picking the rear tires of the semi truck up also.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but I mean, that happens. It's part of learning. And all these aviation experts that I listened to, they all said during that first 1,000 hours that you have, usually around the 500 hour, they all kind of made that point around the 500-hour period, you're going to have a shit yourself moment. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen because you start getting comfortable and that's when you make mistakes
Yes.
because you don't have the experience to offset it. Um, so I think a good question. Why was the situation in this specific area? I do know the fact that it's a woman that was piloting is going to become a big thing,
It is.
even though I
It is.
don't think that it matters. But who knows? The DEI thing's a real deal. We know in the aviation sector that you keep in mind, even with JD Vance, when he was just a young senator, was up there complaining to the FAA, the aviation department, about this, and they say, we need merit based. This is important shit. We need people who can do what they can do. No, we don't care what color they are, or what gender they are. We need skilled people. This is important. And of course, they came back at him you're just a stupid white man. You don't have a voice here. So, okay, great. So this has been going on a long time. The This DEI crap, there's many examples, and the media is just flooding you with it. How many times the aviation boards have been told, no, we need less white men, more diversity. This has been going on for years. So did that play a part? Maybe, probably. But the simple fact of the matter is, in the helicopter at the moment, there were enough mistakes made in that helicopter that caused it.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the air traffic control guy is blameless, because he's not.
Right.
But the onus for me is mainly on that helicopter.
Well, because the people in the tower also know the speed, right? They can track everything that
I
vehicle's
think he was
doing, its
distracted
speed,
with other things, and he in
motion.
his
That's what I'm
head.
saying.
My assumption is, in his head, it's military, they got it.
Exactly.
Wouldn't
But
you
that's what
think the
I'm.
same? Think about it.
Well, no, because if I was an air traffic controller, I'd be the most neurotic mess of all
That's
time
probably true.
because that is
Yeah,
an incredibly stressful
it
job,
is. It
and
is.
these
Yeah,
guys go through unbelievable amount. They have the lives of thousands of people a day in their hand. One
that's
wrong
true,
move and
Roger.
they can kill them. So it's an incredibly stressful job. It's one of the most stressful jobs in the
Yeah,
world. Uh, so yes, he probably did exactly what you did. He just assumed that it was
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But they're trained to never assume it's
But
okay.
with this
That is like
DEI
rule one.
crap, the training's not what it used to be,
A
right?
cascading failure of competency.
It
That's the
is.
problem.
And keep in mind, last year was the most dangerous year we've ever had. Keep in mind that there were 1,000 near misses. We're talking commercially here, right? That's a lot, nowhere near what it normally is. It was a bad year last year, and of course, it's all because of this incompetency and this lack of merit. But with the thing in Philadelphia, which is tragic. But keep in mind, with private stuff, we have a plane go down every day. That's the ratio,
Yeah.
right? So the situation with aviation in America, it's not at its best. Let's just put it that way.
Hmm. No, it's not. And that's the case with everything. Remember
Yeah,
last year when the boat ran into the
yeah,
bridge and just knocked it
yeah.
down?
It is, and
Something
we
that should
see it.
never happen. That should be
That
impossible to happen under any normal circumstance
right.
in America, and it just happened right in front of God and everybody. These sorts of things are intolerable, and we as a society must say no more, or we will lose our
Yeah.
civilization. This is how
No,
it dies,
we've
right
seen
here.
the deterioration very clearly. It's very
Yeah.
clear. That's how bad it is that it's clear. That's not good. And even JD was complaining. I didn't know this, but like a year and a half ago, under the Biden administration, they had an entire class of air traffic control guys trying to go through the process. An entire class of people who had applied, right? And that, I don't know, what's a class? Several hundred people, right?
Right. You would think. Yeah.
But they were all white dudes, and they were all told to go home.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is one of the good things about we're seeing the complete evisceration of DEI in the federal government, because Trump literally ran on that.
He
And
did.
the vast majority of Americans are like, yep, we don't need that. We need competent people. We need the best person. We don't give a
Yeah.
shit if they're brown,
Yeah.
yellow,
Who
green. I
cares?
don't care what color
Male,
they are.
female, doesn't
Are
matter.
they the
Transgender,
best
even. I
at
don't give
what
a shit.
they do? Do they suck dick or do they don't? I don't
Don't
care. It's
care.
not my business.
Yeah.
Can they make sure helicopters don't fly into planes? Can they do
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Because that's what we need.
Yeah, because this is a really bad tragedy that didn't
Yeah,
need
it's
to
not good.
happen. And that's the real
Not good.
thing. When you have mechanical situations like the Philadelphia one, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's just
tragic and sad, but it's like, ma, it
it
is
can
what it is.
happen.
It can
It
happen.
can
Shit
happen.
happens. But
Yes.
this could have been prevented. And you got
Yeah.
67
Should
dead
have been.
people, possibly
Should
68.
have.
And
Yeah.
they're mostly kids,
Yeah.
right? That were coming
It's terrible.
back from a skating competition. It's just wow, dude. Wow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the thing with the Philadelphia thing, it's unrelated, has nothing to do with nothing. It's just an accident. But even that was military. That was a medical helicopter, and they were bringing a little girl back who'd gone through a bunch of treatment to not die from the cancers. And they even had a little party for her before she left. They're bringing her back home. Boom, dead. Jesus, that sucks.
It's
But
just
that's a
horrible.
it is horrible,
Horrible.
but it's a separate situation. Anyway, I
Yeah.
just want to cover it because everyone's on edge. There's a lot of tension.
There is.
There's been a victory for common sense, but the left is in full court press. They are sentineling down on you. right?
Yeah.
And we're not out of the woods at all, and everyone's stressed. And when something like this happens, the conspiracy theories, the radicals on all sides just dive in, and it becomes complete chaos. Um, it's none of that bullshit you're hearing. It's not even the political bullshit you're hearing. I told you what it
Mhm.
was, and that's exactly what it was. It's a complete failure of competency.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then that's what it is. See, there is no functional difference between conspiracy and incompetence in the real world because they look the same. Because you're like, how did this happen? It's either somebody did it on purpose or somebody's just such an idiot or a group of people are such idiots that it looks. I remember watching people all sorts. You're right about the people already on the conspiracy theory thing, and their arguments make sense. How does this happen? But
Yeah.
the only way you can wrap your brain around it is you have to think like a really, 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 really stupid
Yeah, but
person
I really
and
wish
that
humans.
understand
Yeah,
that competency is everything. It's
it is.
everything.
But I really wish it wasn't humanity's first choice to jump to aliens, though.
Yeah. Why the aliens? The
Why?
aliens are just up there
You
like,
know,
bro, what are you blaming us
I'm
for?
sure. I'm sure the aliens are doing their thing, and like I said, the switch on that recently has been extra dimensional, not extraterrestrial. But
That's
whatever.
correct.
Maybe not
But it means
everything
the
is
same
the
thing.
aliens. You know.
I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna whisper it in your ear, Chester.
Yeah.
Those mean the same thing.
I
Those
think
words.
so. I think they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a ridiculous situation. And to give you an example, I think that before I move on to the next thing here, um, this is here's your problem, right?
Yeah.
The Chicago mayor, I can't remember his name. He's actually worse than the Gollum zombie lady, which is shocking.
Hmm.
Um, but this guy is an absolute loser cuck, dude. He's
Yeah.
bad, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, he said we need a plan to deal with migration coming in. Of course, initially he was like, "This is sanctuary city. Come everyone, one and all." And of course, Abbott and the other ones said, "All right," and they started sending him up. And then he say, "Why were your horrible people sending migrants to us? You know, pick a lane, buddy." But anyway, he said we need a plan, so he made one. He made one. And his plan for migration, do you know what it was? Would you like to guess his plan? Be
Tell me.
nice to migrants.
Wait a minute.
Don't be racist.
Wait a minute. That's revolutionary. I've never
It
heard that
is.
before.
I mean, unfortunately, nowhere in his plan was there anything about where we go to house them, who's going to be in charge, what
Well,
department, what
listen.
individual, what monies are going to be allocated, what budgeting
He
sequences are we going to
Chester,
do? All those little things that are involved in
he's got
a fucking plan.
he's got big brain things to think about. He doesn't
Yeah,
have time for these meddling logistics, all right? He doesn't have time for
yeah,
this. He's got
that's fine.
big brain ideas. He's got a big brain, and you're
Yeah,
stuffing it full of
I
nonsense.
know.
What are you doing?
I know, but there it is. There's your issue with these freaking ideologues. They are all heart and idea, and sometimes it's not necessarily bad to have
No,
good
that's a good
feelings
thing.
and want to help people, but they
It
have
is.
no plan. They
Yes.
have
They
no
have to
plan.
still be practical.
Yeah, you need
Practicality.
a plan. If you want
This
to
is
make
just a
yourself a
basic one.
sanctuary city and bring in migrants, make a plan for it. How you gonna do it?
Build them a nice little area with nice little tiny homes they can live in,
Whatever.
and everybody wins.
Yeah, go buy
Good.
Elon's Boxable thing. But I'm
Yep.
just saying, you need a plan, an actual plan, not anecdotes,
No,
literal anecdotes.
just virtue signaling. While people suffer because screw them. I like this my principle, my number one principle above all my other principles is what good is a principle if innocent people suffer? What are you holding on to it for? If
Yeah,
it doesn't win,
either
which I
make
would
it real
assume,
or back off. Shit or
yeah,
get
I
off the
would
pot,
assume
right?
your goal of a principle like in this environment is to make people not suffer. I would assume, unless you're just an evil son of a bitch and want to hurt people, most people have their principles that they have to avoid suffering, right?
Mhm.
So if it doesn't do that, then why have it? What good is it? What use is it? And I think that's what a lot of these virtue signaling idiots need to learn.
Yeah, they
That yeah,
don't
your
have any
principles are all
plans.
great. Their principles are all great. Awesome. You want to treat people fairly. Okay, how?
Cool. How? Yeah.
How?
How?
How you gonna do it?
Yeah. I mean,
What's the answer?
and
Well,
I
we just
legit
should. Well, Okay, but
Yeah.
how?
Well, no, I legitimately mean that. Put forward a plan. Lay it
Yeah,
out. Because they never
I've
do
been saying
this.
that for years. You know how they cry about the Second Amendment? We need to ban guns. We need to. Blah, 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 blah. All right, then put forward an amendment to repeal the Second Amendment. We have an how for
Y-
that. You
We
just
do. We
won't
have
do
a
it.
system. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, you just won't do it.
it's like the tribes there and their Green Deal, their
Yeah.
Green New Deal thing. What was that? One page? I read it, right?
Yes.
And nowhere in there was there any specifics. It was incredibly vague. And the thing with
Yeah,
government is you never want to create anything that's vague because
no,
government people are assholes.
they are. They are.
You want it to be ridiculously pedantic because
Yeah.
they will find any loophole and dig in like a tick, baby. And that page was just a bunch of anecdotes with at least there was a little bit of plan in there, but it was so vague that you could apply it any way you want.
Right. Yep.
It's just outrageous. But anyway, let's move on to the a little bit more in depth to the next thing I got here. Um, here's old Trumpy,
There he
and
is.
he's doing his
Con-
thing. Playing his gamble. He's blitzkrieging him,
Yep.
flooding with tons of stuff, and of course,
Look at all them folders.
I know it's beautiful, isn't it? That's why I chose this one. He got his Scottish mom there in the back. Aw,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
you
he
know
moved in a hurry, didn't he? Woo!
he
He was
did,
just in.
he
Had
did,
all his
yeah,
stuff. Even had his gold curtains back. Everything. Just
he did.
day one.
Well, I do love how he's now it's what 2 or 3 days ago. He's going to the Winter White House.
Yeah.
That's just
His
Mar-a-Lago.
house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
where
his
he
house.
lives
But anyway, of course, I
in
don't think he's
paradise.
ever there anyway. The guy's in the air constantly. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, of course, one of the big things he ran on was tariffing. He's been saying it for a long time, right? You
Yes.
shouldn't be caught off guard by this. He said it for
Yeah.
a long time. And not only was he warning American companies to stockpile, he was warning the American people there's going to be a bit of pain. So strap in, right? Is what he's saying to you.
Hmm.
But he's played his hand. Okay. And like I said, he didn't really do it very stealthily, but he's played his hand. Now, initially on the campaign trail, he was talking 100%, 200%. Now, was that for tariffing? Was that him just trying to shake him up a little bit, or did someone come in and say, actually, it would probably be a lot more effective if you started small and built into it? I don't know.
I think. Well, what he does is that's a tactic of his. It's an old sales trick.
Yeah, yeah.
You come in real hard,
Push him,
real fast.
push him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you back off, and then come in with a more reasonable
Reasonable
offer.
offer. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Anyway, so he's played his hand, and he's done it very specifically. Now, keep in mind, this tariffing thing is twofold, really. One, it's not tariffing, but it's connected, right? What he did was he froze all the money to international things. Now, some of the stuff in America, we have, of course, Ninth Circuit over in California said, no, you can't do that, and he's going to have to take it through the court system, and he'll win it. But the international stuff they couldn't interact with in that way.
Right.
So he has shut down monies going to places all over the world, like I mentioned South Africa earlier, right? And this is hammering these little countries because they rely on this money. Now, some of their leadership is saying, why do we do this? We should be self reliant because they're all
Hmm.
whinging and whining, like the Kenyan guy came up and say, why are you crying? This is not your president. He has no obligation to you. We should be doing this ourselves. And it's right, but it's going hand in hand with the tariffing. And of course, he's very specifically added 10% to China and has put 25 on Canada and Mexico to pressure them to do what he wants, right? And honestly, I think he just wants to drain a little bit of money there. Mexico being the most dangerous of the situations. And of
Hmm.
course, we have responses, right? So what do we
Yes.
got? Well, let's take a look.
Let's see. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Look at him.
Our boy,
Look at old Justin Castro. Look at him.
yeah, little junior.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
little junior.
Well,
Oh, this
teary-eyed
guy.
Justin, because the bitch cries all the time,
He
got
cries at
up and
everything.
talking about how we have such a great relationship with America. We're just like you. We're better friends. And he's
Mhm.
going on and on and on about it. And of course, he says that we will respond in kind, giving equal tariff tit for tat.
Yep.
in
Okay.
his teary speech.
Okay.
And of course, huge chunks of the politic in Canada lost their shit. Like, what the fuck? You didn't even talk to us about this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Justin, he's the dictator. He can do whatever he want, right?
Yep.
And of course, Trump's response very calmly was, "Okay, I'll double it." I mean, Trump is so chill. Have you noticed that?
He is. It's weird.
It's cool
It's
as shit, though.
weird
It's
how chilly.
more
He's just like,
powerful.
okay,
It's
do
more
this,
powerful.
do that. And you know what's crazy is even the media is far more what's the word I'm looking for? Far more leery of him. They're not attacking him, they're not
They're
yelling at him.
confused.
They don't
They're
know how to
confused.
handle this
Yeah.
Trump
Yeah.
because he's not out here being braggadocious and
No.
bodacious.
No.
He's just, nope, we're gonna do this, then we're gonna do this. What did you want to say? Okay, yeah, no, we're not gonna do that. He's just very matter of fact. I think because this is the real Donald Trump, is what we're seeing now.
I think
This is the
so.
guy who I saw I saw in his eyes when he was on that stage with CNN, and that dumb bitch reporter kept trying to get him to say he wanted Ukraine to win the war, and he kept saying no, I just want the war to end. And then eventually she just asked him to some effect why, and he said, I just want people to stop killing each other. And it was the most sincere I've ever seen him,
Yeah. It
except
was
for when he
great.
took a bullet, of course.
That
But he
was
was
great.
so sincere, and I was like, oh, there he is. Okay, that's Trump. The rest of it's all, part of almost a character. It's
Yeah,
how he
well, it is a
wants to
character.
portray
Yeah,
himself.
he's playing
But that's the
politician.
real Donald Trump
Yeah.
when he dropped that down. And I think that's who's been in office. Whether you like what he's done or not, he's far more mellow than he was before, at
Yeah,
least the
I
first
like
time
it.
around. Much more lower tone. He's just, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. Some guy, when he was signing the Lake and Riley thing, some idiot reporter started yelling things, and he said, that's not appropriate right now. He didn't yell at him, he didn't call him a name. He just said, that's not appropriate right now. We're going to keep doing this. And then he kind of answered his question anyway, but he did it in such a nice, soft, just
Yeah.
shut up. He
Well,
basically told him to shut up without telling him to shut up. Just shut up.
well,
Just shut
you
up.
had the reporter say, "Is there anything Canada and Mexico can do to stop the tariffs coming in tomorrow?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"No."
No, not really. Mm-mm. Can't.
Yep.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Nope.
Yep.
No, I love this version of him. This is the version that we probably would have gotten second term if 2020 hadn't happened,
Sure.
where he was just
I
business
think it worked
first
out better.
and boom, 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 boom. The big man upstairs works in mysterious ways,
It
Chester. He
seems
saved
so.
the man from a bullet. We all seen it happen. I don't know why people still want to pretend it wasn't a miracle. That was clearly a miracle. Uh, I don't know what the big G has in store for all of us, but he has something coming
He
because
does.
he doesn't typically just turn people's heads and stop
Well,
them from getting killed.
well, let's talk about that for a second, right?
Mm,
Now, before I get on to Mexico and China, this is a self-inflicted wound by Trudeau. He could have done what he was told, but he's arrogant and prideful, and he wouldn't do it.
yes,
All right. But
yes,
let's think about that. What are we looking at? If Trump fails, well, things will improve a little bit anyway, because they probably already have. But we'll still be in the same mire we're in, right?
mm,
So there will
mm,
be little change if he fails. If he succeeds, though, what is it we get?
mm.
Lower prices,
Yep,
lower inflation,
more stability. Hmm.
more American dominance, which
Yep.
can be good and bad. But I think the real benefit from Trump succeeding is the whole world improving itself to compete.
Yes.
So when he talks about golden age, it could
Yeah.
happen. I mean, it could. He's
Well, I've
being
been
very
saying it for
positive,
years.
which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But you know,
I've been saying that for something to that effect for years, that we're in a precipice age, and this happens every so often. Lately, they seem to be happening more often at a faster pace, which is scary. We're in a precipice age right now, or precipice era. I'd say age is better, where it can go one of two ways for the world, really. And we almost went into the dark world. We got real close there. And
yeah, it's bad.
it feels like to a lot of people, this is why in America especially, there's a lot more just lightness. Everything's lighter, lighthearted, more fun. The jokes are back. We're allowed to look at titties again. Nobody gets weird. Like all these things,
Titties!
all these things are happening all very quickly because I think we went the other way. I think we actually ended up. I was saying it
It
was either
feels that
dark
way.
age, which
Yeah.
we had either a dark age coming or a nuevo renaissance coming. I think we're in nuevo territory. Maybe,
Yeah.
we don't know yet. It's still early. It's still early here. It could turn out horrible for everybody involved. But I don't see it. I don't see it now. Before I did. Before I was like, it's probably a dark age. That's probably now I'm leaning the other way. If I had to put my money on it, we got about a 65% chance of hitting that golden era, that golden age that he's been talking about, because it just you can feel it, right? You can feel it in the air. There's a different what's the word, zeitgeist forming. It's not here yet, but it's coming into view. And it's a different way of looking at the world. And a lot of that has to do, I've been talking about this for literally a decade. A lot of it has to do with Generation Z. Gen Z is different than our generations were, Chester. They're different than your parents and my parents' generation, and they're much closer to the greatest generation, as we call them, than they are any other generation that we have data on. They're very
Mentally.
entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
They're very big on questioning authority, and they have this desire to return to tradition that none of the others have had at this level, to the point where we see all the data coming out of all these young men who start going to church again, uh, unprompted. Many of them didn't even grow up in church families. They're craving something more than the materialism of the current world, which my generation was very materialistic, is very materialistic. So was Gen X, but not quite as bad as mine. And the boomers, my God, I mean, are you kidding me? There was never a more materialistic generation than them.
Yeah,
So,
there's still a problem, it seems. Yeah.
and they're still clinging to it too. They
Yeah.
refuse to let it go.
Yeah.
But Gen Z is totally different. A lot of it has to do with the fact that many of them had their formative years during what we call the Great Recession. They also grew up on the internet where information is basically free. You can learn anything you want, just type some things into a keyboard and bam, you're off to the races. Uh, Whereas you were already, deeply into being an adult when the internet started to take off.
Oh yeah.
I was a very young adult when the internet really started to take off. So we didn't have our youth with
Which
the
is probably
internet.
why I'm not consumed by pornography.
That's probably very much why, actually. And this generation, they're just simply different, and it's a good different. They're far more belligerent, at least the ones who are on the so-called right wing, than anybody in my generation dared to be at their age. It's crazy the amount of indoctrination they've been fed, and they've just said no, no, no. The answer to all your nonsense is no. It's crazy to watch, but it's amazing to watch. I talk to some of these so-called Generation Z right wingers, and they blow me away with what they know at that age, how well they're able to formulate thoughts and articulate their
Mhm.
thoughts, make arguments, and what they actually believe. Many of them go further right wing than me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Whoa,
Well, I
boys, you are
mean,
too young to have these thoughts. You are
well,
too
and
young to be this
it
deep."
it is interesting, and it's because the internet is an amazing resource. In the palm of
Yeah.
your hand, you have the entirety of human knowledge, and most people don't use it. Maybe they
Oh,
are. We
crazy,
just had Tower in here.
crazy.
He left, but Tower is what, 21,
Yes.
and some of the things he just said were, wise beyond his years. I mean, when I was 21, I probably was, but the average person wasn't.
No, the
But
average person wasn't like us. We've been
it's a
old
good
men
point.
since we were young.
That's true. It's
Right? We have old
unfortunate.
souls.
We do. But DeWolf here has made a very interesting comment in regards to piloting. He says if there were passengers, they had ulterior motives than just training. They were likely using the flight for something personal. Pilots do it all the time. That's
Could
interesting.
be.
Um,
Could be.
I do know when it comes to, we're talking about future here. Another
Yep.
very interesting thing with how much our government has allowed itself to deteriorate. We had Walter Reed just had flooding, and it's absolute disaster over there. And
Mhm.
Hegseth says I'm on it, and I believe he is because he's very very energetic puppy. So
He's a bad mother effer too, Mr.
he is,
Heckseth.
but he's
Yep.
also very happy to be there, which is great.
Yep.
But keep in mind that all of our airplanes and stuff that we're using are literally 20 years out of date. The Japanese, the Europeans, all these other first world places, the instrumentation they're using airplanes are very modern, but we haven't
Yep.
updated.
Yes.
So
Because
American
we've been
Airlines, all that
wasting
stuff
money
is
on
old.
nonsense. That's why.
So there's something there, and I'm sure there'll be some change with that. But
Well,
anyway, back.
that was one of Trump's big points, right? And this is why I do think that we veered away from the precipice and now we're going up the mountain again. Because one of the big points Trump made way back in the day was I shouldn't walk into an American airport and feel like I walked into a third world airport. In fact, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he was saying.
Right,
It's outrageous how bad these are
right,
compared to other countries. There's no excuse for it. We invented the damn airplane. There's
right.
no excuse.
And
And he's correct. He's
he is.
completely correct. It's those sorts of things. It's very easy to lose civilization. We like to think it's not, but that's because there's a lot of really strong men and women who stand on that damn border, stand on that precipice, and hold it back so we don't go over that cliff.
Right.
And
No,
they
that's
do
true.
that by great maintenance. They do that by insisting on equipment being updated, like you were just talking about. They do that by insisting on pushing technology
Yeah.
and an incredible
Demanding.
discipline, and they show up
Yeah.
every day to just get it done.
Get it
That's
done.
how it has to
Yeah.
happen. And we haven't been doing that because we've
Yeah.
been wasting time on nonsense that no one actually cares about. You know what people care about is if they can afford food, if they can afford gas, if the roads don't have potholes in them so much that you have to slalom down them like you're in the damn Olympics.
Mhm.
That's what people care about. And these are the things the government has been completely and utterly failing at maintaining. It
Right.
is the job of the people's voice, which is supposed to be the government of the United States of America, to make sure that our standard of living doesn't, at the very least, decrease.
Yeah.
At the very
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
Maybe he can't make
That's
it go
fair.
up, okay,
Well,
but they shouldn't be a hindrance to us stopping it from decreasing, and that's what they've been
it has.
for years.
And I can give you a personal anecdote when it comes to aviation, because I have been in many airports. Right.
Yeah,
I travel quite a bit, and I'll tell you what, the Asian ones, no one ain't got shit on them. They're amazing. And
amazing.
like I was just in Incheon, right, in Korea
Mhm.
it's just a few weeks ago, right? And now keep in mind, in Incheon, the other one closer to Seoul is newer, but the one in Incheon, those are original, landing paths were put in by
Mhm.
the Americans in the
Yes,
50s, right?
that's right.
So Incheon is not new, but that thing is pure for high tech. It's gorgeous, beautiful. And of course, the European and the European ones are pretty awful. The American ones are worse. They're worse.
They are.
I'm an American. I love my country, but our airports suck, dude.
And they're a perfect microcosm of why the infrastructure, because in my opinion, planes and public transportation and all these things are infrastructure. Now they're private in America and they should be, but the government could help by at least getting the hell out of the way so that they can afford to update everything
Right.
and make it a priority. In fact, I would go further. I would make it almost a regulation that they have to keep their things fairly modern within a set amount of range. And if they can't do that,
Yeah.
then we can figure that out.
Especially
But they
aviation.
can do that. They can do that. There's
Yeah.
no reason
They
they
can.
can't do it.
Well,
And I think this is some of the things that I talk about all the time. These sorts of things should be considered the commons. We
it
don't
should be.
need to fall behind infrastructurally. We don't need
No,
to fall
but
behind
we are.
technologically.
We
There's
are.
no excuse. We have
Yeah.
the resources, we have the funds, we have the brain power, we have the base to build it.
Yeah, but we got
Why
to
aren't we
spend it
doing
on
it?
the gays, you see.
Yeah, we have to spend it on things that nobody actually cares about except for a very tiny subset of the
Yeah.
population who somehow have managed to milk this country dry for at least
Yeah.
a decade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and of course, I've been in LAX, which is one of the better American ones, but it's pure chaos because it's not managed or organized well at all. But
Mhm.
speaking of Doge and old Elon and his team, well, it's more going to be his team, isn't it? But
Yes.
did you see the news? There now, you remember we went and dug around and tried to figure out how many departments there were, and we came up with what 383, 386, something like that, right? We were
Something like
able
that,
to
yeah.
dig out.
We don't
Well,
really know because
no,
there's
well,
so
it
many.
turns out Doge says there's 440,
Jeez.
right? They were
Why?
able to dig out. Well, 75 of them literally have no one in any office anywhere at all.
They're just shell
They're
corporations at
just
this point.
shell corporations, and a chunk of them still get money funneling through them, and Doge is confused. But
They
they're
have
going to
questions.
shut all of those down, and of course, more to come. But
Oh,
that's
it's so
how
ridiculous.
inefficient your government is.
how
It's
fleeced
ridiculous.
we've been being by
Yeah.
these people
Yeah.
for so long. And this is why when they pass an infrastructure bill, I think it was 19% of it was actual infrastructure, the rest was pork.
Yeah, it's always that
This
way. It's the same thing
Yes,
Justin did, right? It's always that
this
way.
stuff
D-
has to stop.
Right.
And if the American people don't get serious about it, or if the people who we send to Washington don't get serious and don't start listening, we need to stop their hearts. I'm gonna put
Yeah,
it as
well,
bluntly as
yeah,
possible.
light post
This has to
and rope.
stop. Has to stop. It has to stop. No, there's no more negotiating. No more waffling. No more. Oh, yeah. No, 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 no. It's over. You're
Yeah.
done. And I'm
And you're hearing
hoping
more and
this
more people talk
administration
like that.
is like that.
Yeah,
Yes, it
and
has
people
to
are getting
stop.
frustrated.
They are
Um,
they are ripping us off at
yeah.
every level.
Yeah, no, and of course the thing, it's like no one believes that $50 million was sent to Hamas for condoms. They're
No,
Muslims. They don't use
no.
condoms. No
That
one
was
believes
filtered
it.
through
Someone is
some
getting
NGO,
Yeah, someone's
whatever.
getting money, laid into their
Money laundering.
pocket is what's
Yeah.
going on. And of course, then some CNN person came out and said it's technically only $17 million toward the condoms. That you're
So it
not
was more
helping.
than 1 red cent?
You're
Oh,
not
that's too
helping.
much.
Yeah.
That's too much. Yeah. More than 1
Um,
penny? Too
it's
much.
it's
Get out of
just
here.
like I mentioned earlier with Burma. It was at $37 million, $34 million for DEI initiatives in for women in Burma. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like I said, they're Buddhists. They have zero issues with the gays. Zero. The Buddhists, it's part of life. It's part of the great plan. They have no hate toward them. They're part of society. There's zero issue, and there has never been any issue. They don't care. Like I said, they even have words for these people.
Yeah.
So obviously, what is that money really doing? Because they don't need DEI initiatives. They already got it going. They got it. They're good. So, it's that kind of nonsense. Anyway, Justin, teary eyed, self inflicted wound. Nice. Good job. Xi Jinping came
Oh
out
boy, old Winnie the Pooh. Here he
and
is.
suggested, now he's kind of like Chuck Schumer in a way, right?
Mm.
Chuck Schumer will say the most incendiary things, but he's always just vague enough that you can't sue him,
Hmm.
right? Adam Schiff's a moron and he gets sued. But Chuck,
Yeah.
he'll be just vague enough, even though you know what he's saying, right? But
Right.
that's a professional politician. So's this. Now, I think Chuck's probably a touch smarter than she. Not, they're not very smart. She's not a well-educated person. This is not a smart person. Anyway, he suggested, like Chuck Schumer does, that well, an additional 10% on top of all terrorists we already have, um, maybe maybe we should go 75.
Hmm.
Is
Hmm.
his, he didn't say we're doing it. He threatened it.
Yeah.
And I'd say you go for it. Because really, what I want Trump to do, I want him to declare China a hostile entity.
Ooh.
That's what I
Ooh.
want him to do.
That's a big move. It's a
I
big
want him
move.
to, because it's the truth.
It is. They are. 100%. It's not even debatable. Like in every possible way you could understand it, they are. They just are. Uh, what he needs to do before he does that, though, is he has to get the manufacturing base up and running here again. And
Yeah,
it
no, he
doesn't
does.
take as long as people think it does. He could have that done by the end of the year,
No,
easily.
I'd say in a year. And I think that's part of
Yeah.
the gamble. Because
Yeah.
how long can they hold out? Because he hadn't hit the Europeans yet. He will. So how long can they hold out? Well, even if they can hold out a year, which I don't believe they can, and we're talking about that here in a minute.
Yeah.
I by that time he's going to have the manufacturing up.
Right.
So and that it's all part of his gamble. I think it's a safe gamble.
I think
Nevertheless,
it's a smart move. I think America needs massive reform
we do.
back to something similar to he likes the McKinley era. Sounds good to me. Back to something like that economically. The way it's been is just wrong. And Trump's a billionaire. Elon's a billionaire. I think he's almost a trillionaire actually. Put all his assets together. But the reason they're doing this is because the American people, whether it's altruistic or not, is irrelevant. The function of it will be the same. The American people are tired of getting ripped off. The
They are.
fact this is an actual stone cold fact. My life is going to be better than most Gen Z people's life just in general. Chester's life is probably just on average going to be better than their average person, even in a similar education level as him, in my age bracket, and even way better than Gen Z. And that is a first in American history. It has always gone up, and the only reason it's going down now is improper governance. Period.
Yeah, but I kind of cheated though. I got the hardworking gene.
You're a cheater. You're a
I
big
did.
cheater
I'm a
boy.
big
And then you
cheater.
move to a place where they're all tiny people and
Yeah,
they revere you like a kaiju.
that's
So you
true.
just get things.
Well,
You
that's
just
my
get things.
wife's
They're like,
nickname for
well,
me. She calls me
listen,
Kaiju.
we got to keep the kaiju happy. We'll just give them a whole bunch of peaches. What did they
That's
give you the one
true.
time? Was it peaches? What
Oh,
was
peaches, shrimp, lobsters, oysters, clams,
it? These are
oranges.
tributes. These are
I get
tributes,
tributes
sir.
all the time by little old ladies who like to touch my butt.
Hey, listen. Some action's better than none. All
That's
right.
true. That is true. That's true. I don't mind it. But anyway, and of
Mm,
course they're constantly plotting to take over the world. The Chinese
yeah.
want to rule the world. That's the end of conversation. And they spend trillions of dollars on DEI initiatives. They're constantly involving themselves in everything around the world. They're trying to destabilize the entire world so that they're the only ones that can do. That's the reality. That's what's happening. End of conversation. There is no minutia. That is what they're doing. The deep speak thing, or deep seek thing that came out that the stupid stockbrokers went apeshit about. And it's like, dude, China always lies, but just be patient. Of course, what did that turn out? DeepSeek and they were so stupid they didn't even deal with the programming, because you can actually go ask DeepSeek who made you, and
Yeah.
it tells them, we are ChatGPT. We run on this NVIDIA thing, which they're illegal. They're not supposed to have those. So someone need to be go talking to NVIDIA and find out what that's all about. But we saw that whole thing collapse. It's nothing. And it doesn't even work well because it's a improperly installed chat GPT situation.
Right.
That's China. But there's so much chaos going over there, but there's so much, um, so much endeavor. They have big plans, and
Yeah.
eventually the two are going to come together, and we'll see how it does. But anyway, 75%. All right.
Get them.
Now,
Oh boy.
Claudia Scheinbaum is the most un-Mexican name I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. How did she get
That is a
elected in
Jew
Mexico?
name.
How did she
Keep
get
in
elected
mind,
in
we
Mexico?
had dozens of people murdered to get her in that position.
Yep.
It's a completely corrupt system. China is abusing it, as they are many, I just said, of everywhere else. She's trying to act tough, and it's like she's going to be 25 up. And to me personally, we'll make a deal with Canada, I think, because why not? Honestly,
It's
we
Canada.
should just
Yeah.
absorb them. I mean, let's get it
Yes.
done.
Yeah.
But here's the question: should we burn Mexico to the ground? I mean, not
Um.
militarily. I mean, economically.
Economically, no, I don't think we should. I think we should. Well, we should until they're willing to play ball, and then we should push for concessions on allowing our military in there with no restrictions to handle the cartel problem.
They let those fuckers just walk right through their country and in.
I know.
All of
I
them
know.
did.
I know what they did.
They
I know
allowed
what they
that.
did.
They
Yeah,
have,
of
and
course
it's
they did.
not just them, it's other countries in the world involved, but Mexico is the freaking nexus point that let
The
everybody just come in and just
the
flood right
problem
in.
will
They
be
let that happen. That's a
the
freaking, that's an act of war.
I agree, and I'm completely with you on that. The problem will be is if we do this wrong, it's going to get infinitely worse. Because the economic situation in Mexico, it's not Mexicans that we're getting a lot of anymore. It's all the others that are coming up through the chain, if you will.
Yeah.
And because Mexico's economic situation is a lot better than it used to be for various reasons. A lot of it has to do with fleecing us, but still,
Us.
it's a lot better than it used
NAFTA.
to be. Yes.
Clint, what's his freaking name? Clinton there. Bill.
Well, if we
Oh,
blow
baby.
it up,
Yeah.
if we burn it down economically, it's just going to become a big problem again. I think the solution, and I've always thought this, is we get some sort of deal. Either they become an official territory, or we get some sort of
That's
other
true.
form of protectorship over them, and we push into them, and then we can handle the cartels. At least push them down, right? So they're away from our border, and basically just lower where that problem is, and this would give the Mexican people a lot better of a situation than they have now. Because I don't have any hate for the Mexican people. Mexican people are good people.
No.
I've been down there many
Yeah.
times, have no problem with
Yeah,
the
me
Mexican
too.
people. Their corrupt government and the
Good food.
cartels that own it are a problem. And the only way to handle it is to crush them. Anything we do to the people is just going to make our situation worse.
Yeah.
We have to
That's fair.
what we want to be seen as is the heroes in this situation, freeing them from the oppressive yoke of their corrupt government and their cartels. Now,
Well,
obviously, not all of them are going to see it that way, but if enough of them do, we can actually start to improve their situation because there's no reason Mexico should be poor.
no, it should
Zero.
be banging. It should be
It
banging.
should be
It's got
super
an
rich.
Atlantic and Pacific ports. It should be
It's
banging,
got the
banging.
best. It's got better ones than we do
It does.
because the weather's better.
Yeah.
Better ones
And
than we do.
yeah.
It's got more gold than we do. It's got tons of oil. There's no reason Mexico should be poor other than corruption. That's
Yeah.
it. It's
That's
just
true.
corrupt.
Oh, I get it. That's true. And of course, Trump is. It might even be happening as we speak. He's letting the Delta Force boys have a little bit of fun,
Yeah, they're he's letting them off the leash. It looks like let them go have
and he
some fun.
should let them off the
Because
leash. Yeah.
as much as we get a lot of crap for losing wars, and in fairness, on paper we did, some of them. The American warfighter, the real ones like Delta Force, like the high level
Yeah, the
Marines,
special
and
op guys.
obviously
Yeah,
are the best in the world, and
they
it's
are.
not close.
No,
It's
and
not.
we spend a lot of time and effort to do that.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
are often hindered in doing what they want. That whole
Oh yeah.
situation with Hillary Clinton down in Libya, it was all about government interference and not doing their job.
Right.
We left
And
them
if
out to dry, right?
you let these warriors just do what they do best, which is make war,
Yeah,
they're the best in the
they're
world.
really good at it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, they know that they versus a cartel member, they're going to win it. But these kind of
Yeah.
guys, they're professionals. They never
Yeah.
go into a situation thinking that, oh, this is easy. They never do that.
No, no,
They
no.
always take it
They never
100%
underestimate their
seriously.
opponent
Never.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. But yeah, I would let him go. I mean, literally just off the leash. You just go do your thing. Go.
Yeah. Well, he's already, I would assume, already going to, if he can get his DNI in there, they can rein in the illegal narco smuggling that the CIA's been doing since always. I think that's what it exists for, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
And we could shut that down very quickly, or at least rein it in, because these cartels were supposed to, I mean, let's just call it what it is, work for us to keep the
That was
governments
the
down
plan,
there
but yeah, like the
relatively
Mujahideen, that
unstable.
was how that worked out.
Yes, it doesn't work. Eventually, your mercenaries turn on you. It's
Yeah.
it's throughout all of history. This happens
Yeah.
every time. You build up a mercenary force. They eventually get too big for their britches, and they turn on you. It's
Yep.
happened to everybody ever.
Yeah.
Always happens.
And a lot of
But yet,
people,
for some reason, we can't learn this lesson.
right? No, and we just keep doing this insanity, and that's the thing
Mhm.
with Obama. A lot of people make jokes or even accusations. I've done it myself about him being a Muslim, secret Muslim. And he was doing the
Mhm.
same thing, dude. He was trying to play him off each other. He made deals, and
Yep.
accidentally, oops, we dropped a whole bunch of weapons, and the terrorists got it.
Oh
Oops.
no! How'd that
Oh
happen?
no, they were. He
50
was playing the
times in a
same game.
row.
He was playing the same game, right?
Yes.
But it backfired on him hardcore.
It
And
doesn't
what did
work.
Trump do? How did Trump end that in record time? He
He
told the
just
military, "Go do your job."
He literally, according to him, and I have no reason to disbelieve this, flew over there
He
in
did.
the dead of night
He
secretly
was very
and
excited.
found the actual people who were commanding it, the real generals, not the
Yeah,
fake ones who sit in Washington. And he said, "Okay, do whatever you need to do. I'll make sure they stay out of your way." And they did.
and they
And
did.
it was easy. Done.
Yeah, I love him telling
Um,
that story. He's such like a little kid telling that
he's
story.
a great storyteller, actually.
He
Unironically,
is.
he is.
It's like I
Oh,
really like to sit up and talk
oh,
with the pilots, and it was all black. Couldn't see anything. I said, "You guys all
oh,
right?" I had to
oh.
ask them several times. These guys are so handsome. They're like, "Oh, they all could be movie stars. Amazing." Right? I mean, Trump, right? He is so enamored by them, and I get it.
Yep.
I get it.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, it's
these dudes are the
impressive.
real deal,
They're doing
right?
night landings in the middle of the
Yeah, and
desert.
he was
That's pretty damn impressive.
he had a joyous time. But yeah, but he
Yeah.
did the right thing. He said, "You guys go do your job," and they did.
Do your
And
job.
if you let military do their job, they can be quite effective, particularly the well-trained American one.
Well, think about it. We were just talking about Korea, how we built the airstrips over there. The only reason the Korean
Yeah.
War became what it became, the only reason Vietnam became what it became, was Washington. Again,
Yeah, it
got
was
in
a
the way.
proxy war against Russia. Yeah.
Yes. If they had not gotten in the way and just let our generals one of which was, MacArthur, handle the job, get the job done.
That's why he
Uh,
retired.
yeah, because he couldn't deal with that idiot anymore, basically. If you would just let him do his job, that would have been over in, I think, what was it, 3 months? It wasn't long.
It
It
was
wasn't a very
over
long
in
time.
3 months. It was.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had it done. Had it done and over. And they had to, fiddle fuck around.
Yeah.
And it's just it's disgusting the level of evil that the bureaucracy, because that's what they really are, in Washington is. They're just evil. And we don't need to dance around it. These people will gladly and gleefully and happily extend wars, extend conflicts where tens of thousands to millions of people are dying to make a little bit of money. And that's evil. That's evil. There's times when a war is justified. There's times you could make a case that going into Afghanistan, chasing Osama bin Laden, the guy who was allegedly the mastermind of the worst terrorist attack on American
Allegedly.
soil,
Yeah.
allegedly, is justified. If that's all true.
Sure.
If that was all 100% above board, I think most people are like, yep, get him. Go get him.
Yeah.
But we were supposed to just go get him. And then we come to find out we knew he was in Pakistan the whole time.
Right,
It was
of
never a
course we knew.
secret.
We knew. It's just like the ICE agents are going and just directly walking into sanctuary cities and just
Yes.
arresting people easily.
They know
we
exactly where they
know
are.
exactly where everybody
boop.
is. Now
Grabbing
this lady is a different problem because she is a puppet. There are many of them in the world, but she's a puppet. She was put ensconced. So we're not dealing with her. We're dealing with the cartels. So we've seen their response is, okay, Jefe, we fight. There you go. So I don't know that it matters any kind of communication with this lady. And I'm kind of curious to see how he ends up handling Mexico. Me personally, I would let the Delta Force completely off, or I know we don't call it that anymore, but we all know what it means.
whatever they call
The
it. Spec ops.
special force cops, the black ops
Yeah.
guys, let them off the chain and just let them in there and just start blowing up shit. Bombing this, killing
Yes.
couriers, just causing complete terror chaos amongst the
Mhm.
cartels. And give it a couple months and come back and
Yeah.
readdress it. Um,
See what
but
happens. Let's just
yeah,
see what happens.
because this is
See what happens.
different than Canada. Canada, basically, Trump is just spanking them.
I think
Anyway,
Canada will bend the knee, and I
they will
actually do.
quickly, I think.
Well, we're both in agreement here. We need to do something about bringing them in to the union. I don't know if we need to make them a state or many states. A territory is fine, honestly, because they get all the benefits of being an American state with very little of the overhead. So they get to keep their own
Their
culture. They get to
lives
keep
would be
all that
better
stuff.
instantly.
But their lives would instantly be better because now they have all of America's rights. The Constitution would apply
Right,
to them fully.
taxes it would be lower.
Taxes, everything would be better for the average Canadian, and then we don't have to worry about them messing up federal elections because they vote real dumb up there, just dumb. And we could cut
They
off
can.
Quebec and be like, listen, go be your own country. It's fine. We don't need you. Go ahead.
Right. But you do have that option with the
French.
multiple provinces of Canada, Greenland, and of course Panama. Yeah, we might just simply seize it,
You
and
probably
that
will.
would create incredible international consternation, fair and fairly. But
Yes,
Trump, he do keep in mind in his inauguration speech, he did speak the words "manifest destiny."
he
He
did.
said that. He
He
said
did.
that.
I've been
So
advocating it for years. If we're gonna be imperialistic,
be
allegedly,
imperialistic.
then do it.
Yeah.
Or piss or get off the pot is the
Yeah.
point. Like pick one. You can't do it halfway. These half measures are killing us. What are we doing?
Maybe we can go into Sweden and claim it and clean it up for him.
We
But
could
you know,
free the Swedes. Free the Swedes.
yes. Anyway, so that's enough of the political stuff. Let me finish the show here with just a couple of fun little lighthearted things, as we like to do. This one is hilarious.
James Gunn's Superman faces legal battle. Schuster estate sues to block release. Ooh.
Now,
Why?
this is
Why?
very interesting. Schuster and Siegel, was it? Um,
I believe.
they
Yes. The
sold the
Jewish
rights
boys.
for a ridiculously small amount of money
Hmm.
to Superman long, 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 long ago. But many countries around the world have laws on their books that after a certain amount of time, rights need to be replaced to returned to the original creator. and that would
Yes.
be Schuster and Siegel. And what
Correct.
they're saying is that Warner Brothers cannot distribute this internationally without paying them money
Hmm.
because America doesn't have
Mhm.
that law, and they are
Nope.
pushing that, and they're serious, and they're actually suing it for it. Now, it's nothing much of a story; it's more of a headache for Warner Brothers, I think. But it is interesting to make that play, don't you think?
It is. We'll see how it pulls out, or how it turns out rather. Because others have tried similar things for similar franchises and properties. So we'll see. That's all we can do is
Well,
see.
they're assuming though, because it costs money to go through this kind of legals, especially dealing with a major studio like Warner Brothers, with actual government backing, right? They're assuming that this movie is going to be blockbuster and make lots of money. I don't think it will. I'm wondering if the Schuster estate isn't kind of burning money here. You see what I mean?
Probably. They could be. Sorry, I was talking to my wife. She just got home.
Yeah,
Yeah, they could be. It's interesting because these usually don't work like I think like you said there, but
yeah.
we'll see. Maybe this one will because Superman's an interesting one. He's old. He's been around a long time. There is
Everybody
some
knows him.
weird questions that has to be answered here. And
Yeah,
I actually agree with those countries that it it should either return to the original creator or go full public domain. There should be no middle ground here, because it's art. Nobody should own art, in my opinion. Not fully. You can own an artwork, you can own an individual piece of art, but an art as a concept, which is Superman is, shouldn't be ownable like that. I just don't agree with the idea of intellectual property forever. While the original creator's alive, fine. But once the original creator's gone, I just don't see the value in making it anything more than just everybody gets a piece of it, basically. Like the
yeah.
classical music, right? Nobody owns it. Nobody should. It would be
No,
terrible if they did.
no, that's true.
And yeah, I think that's where I think this, like Superman, Batman, a couple of the others, we're getting to that territory now where we need to have a conversation if this just needs to belong to the world.
Yeah. And this
My
guy is
opinion.
turning out to be 100% discount Henry Cavill.
I mean, look at him. He looks like
Yeah,
Henry Cavill. I
he
don't know why we
does.
couldn't just have Henry Cavill.
But he ain't got the
Ah,
cool factor. He ain't got it. But
no.
but anyway, I just thought that was interesting, and because I just feel like they might be burning money here. I get the concept, but I don't think this is going to make the kind of profit that would, because they're going to be spending ridiculous amounts of money to pull off a lawsuit like that. I mean, that's one of the real problems with the legal system, particularly in America. You can't afford to get justice. It's a real screwed up situation, right? Anyway, let's finish as we always do and take a look at what new came out this week.
Dog man.
Dogman made some money
It's doing
from
okay. It's
DreamWorks.
doing okay. Oh man, I remember seeing this. I said, "Why?
It looks
Why?
French. Half dog,
Why
half
does this
man.
exist?"
He is sworn to protect and serve as he doggedly, see what you did there, pursues the feline supervillain, Petey
Mm-hmm.
the cat. So it looks very French to me.
Crazy.
But it's an animated one, so we know 36 million or 20 million profit here. It ain't nothing. We know they spent more. But interesting, never heard of it. Didn't see any advertising for it. Warner Brothers, that's a big studio,
A little
a
bit.
little bit.
Been around for a minute.
Companion, didn't make shit. Open in a lot
Never
of
even heard of it.
theaters though.
Never even heard of it. What's that?
A
Oh boy, here we
billionaire's
go.
death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip to his lakeside estate. Oof. Yeah, that
Sounds
does.
fun.
Yeah,
Sounds like a great
but
time.
that's
Let's watch
Warner
that.
Brothers though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, didn't make no money though. Um,
Sci-fi thriller. Wait, what?
Oh, okay. Alan's helping us out. He says Dogman
Alan's
is a
on it.
successful kids comic from Scholastic or Penguin, one of the other. Yeah, okay, cool. What did you want to say about Companion here?
I just never heard of it. Sounds really boring.
It's R
To be
rated.
honest, but it's sci-fi thriller. That this here does not sound like sci-fi thriller to me.
I'm
But
sure it's
okay.
aliens. It's always aliens.
It usually is aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever. That's a major failure though. There. That's not good. Let's see here. Is anything else banged out? Nope. They're all doing the same as they were. Uh, Creation of the Gods 2. Demon Force. That sounds like an
Demon
anime.
Force.
Oh, it's Chinese. Um, Not much money and not a lot of theaters. So, huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll let you read this one because it's foreign language.
No, no, I won't
Mm.
be doing that. I'm just gonna say that guy, assuming it's a guy, led the army of Shang Dynasty, including Deng. He's just Deng, and 4 generals of the Mo family, to that place, with the help of Kunlun immortals such as this guy, that guy, led
Mhm.
led the army and civilians of that place again to defend their homeland. That's a really boring description. It's very poorly written.
Well,
Even if I actually read the names, it's still very poorly written.
yeah. 赛元 Shang
Yeah. Mhm.
Dynasty. Deng Qiaoyun Mo Shiki. Shiki. I like that one. Jian Jianya. Jianzia. Jianzia. That's a hard one. Jianzia. Shiki. Okay. Whatever. Don't care. Go away, China. Let's see. Valiant One from Briar Cliff Entertainment. I never even heard of that. This didn't do well, and it was in a chunk of theaters, right?
Not a huge chunk, but a chunk. Yeah.
But 1,000 isn't nothing. North Korea, South Korea, helicopter crash, North Korea side. Okay, it's one of those thingies. Um, yeah, not interesting. Honestly, it's January, guys. It's January.
Yeah.
Bleecker Street.
Oh,
All right, now Bleecker Street
look at
puts out some
Craven
pretty good
down there.
stuff, man.
Look at Craven down there. Did you see it? Did
No,
you
I'll
see
get to it in a
Craven?
second. All right, that
Oh,
sounds dumb. Don't give a shit. Where's
real
Craven?
dumb.
Oh boy.
Look at the no money that it made. Yow.
Yeah, and like I said, it's actually a fun movie. It's just a bad Craven movie. It's a bad, it's a shame. And then of course, last but no least, No Other Land will open in one theater. So 26,000 in one theater. That's actually probably not bad. It's
People
like
must have liked it.
well, it's probably some little a passion project, right? Palestinian Israeli
Oh
collective
boy.
show the destruction of occupied West Bank. It's called Judea. Uh, Masaferiata by Israeli soldiers. Oh, the bad evil Jews again. Evil Jews
Yeah.
from the river to the sea. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Made 116 grand worldwide. Big money. Big
yeah,
money.
big money, big money. But yeah. Anyway, not much. But it's like I said, in January we're tipping in February. It's not a great time for movies. Hopefully it'll pick up here in February a little bit, and by March it should be swinging. We both kind of looked at the movies coming this year and video games as well. We did that at the end of the year as we usually do, and this looks like a better year. It does look like a better year
Hopefully. One would hope. One would hope.
because last year was bad. It was
It
really
was.
bad.
It
Yeah,
was deplorable even.
yeah, yeah,
Um, it's been that way really for a while. There've been a few bright spots here or there, but it's been a few years since we had a really good movie year.
yeah.
And it'd be nice. It'd be
It
nice
would
to be
be,
excited about movies again. It's
would
been a
be.
long time. And honestly, the movies that were really good in the last few years, most of them were either a surprise or they were either a complete surprise or we all kind of expected it to be good. There was none of that like, oh, let's see, right? Type deal. Which that's what I prefer. I actually prefer if it's one where I have a little bit of hype for, but and then it overperforms,
Mhm.
than ones where I just kind of expected, okay, this is gonna be great. I'm still gonna enjoy it, of course,
Right.
but it's I don't know, it's a different feeling to be like surprised, but not totally. Because when you're totally surprised, it's harder to, for me anyway, for me to enjoy it on a first viewing.
Hmm.
Kind of like the first time I watched Bullet Train, I really loved it, but when I watched the second time, I liked it way more.
Yeah, that was
And
fun
because
movie.
I was so surprised at how good this movie was. Like, what is happening? Why is this movie
Yeah,
so awesome? And then I watched the second time. I'm like, man, this is just really good. It's just well written, well acted, clearly well directed.
yeah,
And the wife and I just watched it the other day on her birthday, actually, because we just both love it. It's just such a good movie. You can just turn it
it
on and
is.
watch it, and it's a good time.
Yeah, for me last year, I would say Red One.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that was a big surprise.
that was a sleeper for
Yeah,
sure.
and it was great. If you
Um,
haven't seen it yet, go see it. Go watch
Yeah.
it. It's on streaming. Just do it. Do yourself a
Now,
favor.
Alan, in December we did one of our end of the year shows, and we covered the movies coming quite exhaustively.
Yep.
So I would go check that because we spent the pretty much the entire episode on it, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Whereas usually we do like, well, right now we talk more politics directly than we did a year ago, but that's because it's the Trump effect, right?
Yes.
Um, you know, I no, I'm not, Roger. He says, Chester, are you not going to take a look at the Marvel Zombies trailer? No. Okay. Yeah, I hated Marvel Zombies when it was in comic book form. It was dumb. It was a stupid thing. It's just another of the dumbass shit that the Marvel Comics has been doing. I hated Marvel Zombies. I was like, oh god, what a stupid thing. And the fact that they chose to put it in movie form just shows you exactly why they need to go away.
Yep.
That's my opinion. Do you have a different one?
No. No. I'm not a fan of it. Never was a fan of it. I've never been a big zombie fan anyway.
No.
At least not where it's clearly just a gimmick. If you have a good reason for there to be zombies, or if you have an intelligent zombies, or just I don't know, just where there's a narrative reason why zombies, right?
Yeah, I'm not a
Um,
zombie fan.
but I'm not a
Go
huge fan of the genre personally.
Now, if you want to see a good zombie movie, go check out Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can't remember the name of it. It wasn't Mandy. That was Nick Cage's one. But there was a
Mhm.
name of a girl movie. It was just a girl's name, and it's a zombie movie, but it's about his daughter. That's a good zombie movie. Old
Yeah.
Arnold boy, he can still do it. He still got a little bit. So
Yeah.
that because that was a good movie. And that he did that kind of very quickly after he retired as governor of California.
Yes.
So anyway, well there you go.
Anyway, Chester, let's get out of
Yeah,
here.
I got to go to
Let's get
work.
out of here.
So
I gotta go talk to the wife. Let's
yep,
get out of here.
I am getting out of here. So thank you all very much. We'll see you next week. Do keep in mind 2 days we'll be back for Bill's Dolman Wood, which we're having fun
Play a
in.
little
We're
Dolman, a
not
little bit
dead
of
yet.
Dolman.
We
We're
almost
not
did.
dead yet.
Yeah, we're
I
close.
was very
You were
close, in
very
fact,
close.
and
Yes.
so was Lily there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, hopefully we keep going, keep on
Yeah.
living.
Come
That's the
back for that.
game. That's the name of the game.
And of course
We're
this
about to fight
week
a slime, Chester,
that's
a
true.
great
We
big
are.
slime.
We are, and we're
Yeah,
going to all die. But
probably,
probably.
probably.
But
Yeah.
keep in mind also, we got Drawn to Court Ultimate Edition this week, and we're doing something interesting. Yours truly, I'm going to be pairing a movie with the wrong actor, a
Oh boy,
la Conan the Barbarian, but with Danny DeVito,
nice,
like that.
nice.
It could be fun to see how they come out with that. I got some pretty hilarious choices. So, nevertheless, thank you very much. Take us out of here, dude.
I'm gonna do Chester's very favorite one because I haven't done it in a little while. The master is not the one who completes his training. The master is the one who never stops.
Namaste. Later, everybody.